Morning, Raptor Freak Alexiot's here. Saturday morning, we're having our first ever Show Love Saturday Club, Saturday Show Love Club. It's been inspired by this. Let me just play this real quick before I even get started today.
He's just super excited, super touchy. He spread love all day. So
Spread love, spread love.
for sure. Nurse, he meant a lot. Like,
See, Gary was talking about in his exit interview yesterday, end of season interview, about how Scotty hugs people and that the world needs more spread and love. So we're going to have this new Spread Love, Show Love Club on Saturdays where we're going to show appreciation to different Raptors and different people involved with the Raptors each Saturday this off season. And today we're just doing it team first, baby. That's right. We take team first. Important part of Toronto Raptors culture is team first. So today we're celebrating the whole entire team, the organization, the franchise, everything. And the whole purpose of these Saturday appreciation streams are basically for us to practice gratitude and talk about what we love about whatever the subject is for that day. So if you want to write in the comments today, anything about the team that you love, anything about the team chemistry, anything about any aspect of the Toronto Raptors. It's a free for all. You can't go wrong. You could talk about a specific player, any player. You could talk about any person in the organization, anybody like that. This is our day to practice gratitude and put out good vibes in the world by saying what we love instead of what we hate. Because I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of people in the Philadelphia fan nation talking about who they hate right now. Oh, yeah, they are talking about a whole bunch of people who they hate. And that is because we have found out last night that Joel Embiid has a fractured orbital bone in his eye, and he is out for the second round against Miami, at least for the time being. Partly because he has concussion protocol. He failed that. So they're saying that minimum he's going to miss the first 3 games of the Miami Heat series. So, yeah, it's very interesting. We're going to definitely talk about that because there's a lot of aspects to talk about this. And I want to say to you guys right now that are holding wrenches, Callie and Tom, G, whoever else shows up, you guys are going to need to be throwing wrenches for me, just like Rip Torn and Dodgeball. Because I'm going to tell you right now, these motherfuckers are going to be coming after us. They are pissed off. It's almost like somebody came and hit that hornet's nest of Sixers fans out of the tree, and they are buzzed up and they are swarming. They have gone to Jack Armstrong's Twitter and they have assaulted him in a social online way with with all kinds of comments, all kinds of things. They're telling Jack Armstrong right now that they're going to kill his family. They're telling him that they're going to find out where he lives, Canadian piece of shit. Well, you dumbass Philly fans, you think you're fucking talking to a Canadian guy when you're threatening Jack Armstrong? When you put him down, you say, you fucking Canadian piece of shit. When you say that to Jack Armstrong, he's American, you dumbasses. He lives in upstate New York. Now, I don't know his exact address, and I ain't going to give it to y'all because y'all are some crazy ass sons of bitches talking about what you're talking on Twitter right now about what you want to do to Jack Armstrong and what you want to do to Pascal Siakam because of all this. Listen, sometimes you get in a fight with the basilisk, you may not die right away, but that poison is in your veins, and then down the road you fall over. Yeah, you may have killed that poisonous snake. You may have kicked it and beat it, and it's gone, but maybe it got a little venom in your skin, and it's still it's really making you have problems after the fact. And that's the situation with this. And I will break down each little part of the development with the Joel Embiid injury yesterday and how we should look at it as a fan nation, how we should look at how Sixers Nation's acting right now, and also how this could have been prevented in all kinds of different ways. This could have been prevented. There was no reason for this to have to happen. And I can tell you exactly the reasons why. All right, let's talk to you guys because this is definitely a two-way street today. The show love, appreciation, share love, a society of Saturdays, share love society is in effect for our first meeting. Let's go. All right, Lumpy Rex is here. He has beautiful emoticon art. He has the dinosaur, he has a red ball, and then he has a heart. And that is probably how Lumpy feels about this season, this past season that we have. He has all love for the Toronto Raptors. What's going on here? Paul B is talking about Scotty Roy. Scotty Roy. Yes, I know, Paul. I said we are going to do something on Scotty today, but we're going to put it off for 1 week and we're going to do team first because that's the way this team is run. We are team first, team one for all for one, and we're going to make sure we get everybody first before we go into individual Saturday show love appreciation weeks. I know I said Scotty the other day, but we're going to do everybody first. It just makes sense to me. Tom Duke's talking about the Raptors overachieving. This is something that Tom Duke loves about the Toronto Raptors team is that we overachieved. We went way beyond the call or the ceiling that the experts had for us this season. We went way higher. We probably got 10 more wins than the actual win total they thought we'd get. We probably got 4 or 5 spots higher up in the standings at the end of the season to be in the 5th seed compared to where they thought we would be, like in the 10th or 11th or 12th. So yes, overachieving is a glorious word to describe the Toronto Raptors team this year. And in some ways we didn't overachieve, because this is exactly what this is exactly what Pascal and other players on the Raptors thought we would do anyway. And that's what Fred talked about yesterday in his exit interview for the end of the season. He said there was a real disconnect at the beginning of the season between what he realistically thought this team was capable of from what he saw in the inside of it all and what the news and the media were saying about what they expected for us. That just didn't line up. That there was some sort of disconnect, that it didn't really connect as far as what he thought they could do this year and what all these talking heads were saying what they thought the Raptors could do this year. So in some ways, yes, we overachieved in the eyes of the media, but you know what? The Raptors, they wanted a championship. Deep down inside the whole year, that's all they were thinking about. And that is the difference. There's a disconnect between did we overachieve? Well, maybe we did exactly what we thought we would have done, and that Fred would have thought we would have overachieved if we'd won the championship this year. Andrew's saying, let's go, and he appreciates karma. Well, I love this statement in some ways, Andrew. This is a funny thing. You don't want to talk about karma too much. You don't want to do too many things out in this world that cause things in some ways. Some people don't believe in it. So many people don't want to believe in it because there's a lot mixed in with it. I'm going to tell you right now, there's two entities to blame for last night. And not last night, for Joel Embiid's injury. And neither one of them are Joel Embiid or Pascal Siakam. I'm going to tell you right now, neither of the people that need to be blamed for what happened in Game 6 are Pascal Siakam or Joel Embiid. We can't blame him as a fan nation. And Sixers Nation, you better not be blaming Pascal either. I know y'all are. Y'all are off. You're way off track. You're way off kilter. You're way off, you're out of bounds. Let's just put it this way, Sixers Nation. You're out of bounds. And at this point, you're projecting your ugliness and the cesspool of people that are in your fan nation onto us at this point. Because listen, we tried to be classy about this. This whole series, we tried to be classy about this. Listen, if you're going to get your licks in, at least make them look like they're like serious plays. That's what I'm saying. You're just overtly hitting our guys with elbows and stuff like that. And that's what I'm going to say right now. The first people that I blame for Joel Embiid being hurt in this round coming up with Miami is the referees. The referees, you fucked up Zach Zarba. You fucked up Curtis Blair. You fucked up Bill Kennedy when you did not keep control of the game and the physicality of it. And it may be from the start, from game 1, you guys did not control the physicality of the series between Philadelphia and Toronto as a whole, referees. That in some ways, if you had been calling correctly to try and stifle the physical, the overtly dangerous physical contact that's happening in these games, that maybe the tone wouldn't have been set like this. And what else? You know what? Listen, there were 2 incidents in Game 6 that happened with Joel Embiid himself where he did dirty plays to Raptors. And if he had gotten the normal calls that an average NBA player would have gotten in those situations, instead of being a golden boy, a franchise face, and an absolutely essential player in the media machine for the NBA, if he had gotten the proper flagrant calls on 2 different calls in that game, one on Chris Boucher, you saw it, and there was another one, I forget who it was on, and you had been thrown out of the game, this wouldn't have happened. This wouldn't have happened. Pure simple. You hit Chris Boucher. That was very obvious. You saw him laying on the floor and stuff like that. And then you had one earlier in the game also. I forget who it was on. It was either on OG or Pascal, or maybe it was Kem. I don't even remember. But Listen, you had 2 dirty plays in this game, and if the referees were calling it by the book instead of looking the other way because you're a fucking golden boy, you would have been tossed out of the game probably, and then you would have never ever gotten your injury. You never ever would have done a dumb airplane, and you never would have gotten hit with an elbow at the end of it because you would have been put out the game for being a thug already. And that's what the refs should have done, is they should have thrown your ass out for all your dirty hits with your elbows and stuff like that. And then it would have avoided all this. Well, now you got this pile of shit to deal with, Philadelphia fan nation. This kind of stuff. This is the thing. It's like, it kind of is like you guys are spiky people and you're kind of spiky in the world. Well, sometimes spikes come out and spike you back, is what I'll say right now. And listen, the other thing about this is the other person to blame is Doc Rivers. That's what I'm saying right now. You blame the refs, you blame your own fucking coach. And I see that a lot of Sixers fans are doing this because there's no reason for a guy who's already hurt, who has a fucked up thumb that's going to need surgery, to be out there running around the court when y'all have such a comfortable lead that late in the game. That you're asking for it in some ways, to just allow the possibility of injury to happen to him that will fuck up your future in the playoffs. And there, right there, squarely lies on Doc. Sure, Doc may have outcoached Nick in the end by getting it more out of his players and having a good game plan. But he fucked up once again, and he showed why he's such a fuck up as a coach, because he left his big best player on the court in a time when he didn't have to have him out there, and he got hurt now for the next series. So you want to put blame on some people, Sixers Nation. You put blame on the refs for not controlling the physicality of the series the whole time, all along. And then you put blame on Doc Rivers for not benching him or putting him out of the game earlier. That's what I'll say to all that on that aspect as far as who's to blame for this. Now, there's all kinds of wrinkles otherwise in this. There's the way that they're acting right now, the way they're talking about how when Pascal comes back to Philadelphia the next time, he's not safe. Well, he's already felt like that when he comes back to Philadelphia. This isn't going to change anything. But you guys, you're talking a little bit like January 6th Trump tards right now with the way you're thinking and stuff like that, because it's all very convenient to fit your narrative. Now, what I try to do as a Raptor biased channel right here is I try to listen to other voices in the league other than just our voices in our fan nation and then Sixers fan nation. I want to hear what Celtics fan nation has to say about this. I want to hear what Knicks fan nation has to say about this. I want to hear what Orlando fan nation has to do with impartial fan nations. And I'll tell you what they're saying. They're saying that this dude has been doing this dirty shit all year long, hitting other people on other teams. And you know what? Sometimes things just come back and bite you in the ass. It's just like Alvin Williams says, ball don't lie. If somebody gets a foul shot, like a technical that isn't really like it's a bullshit call, and then they go to the line and they brick the free throw, ball don't lie. You didn't deserve that point. That there are unseen forces out in this world that control things in some ways and also influence things in some ways. And that maybe you didn't deserve that free throw because you got a call and then you missed it. Ball don't lie. Well, I'm just going to say something like this. You go out there and you start writing checks with your own elbows and put them out there. You better be able to take the checks right back, because other people might want to put checks out there also. And this is the thing. It's a very basic tenement. I'm saying that a lot of basic euphemisms yesterday and this whole week is if you can dish it out, you better be able to take it, Joel Embiid. You're the biggest motherfucker on the court in this last series, and you're the one who's most hurt. And you're also the one who did the most bullying and pushing around and hitting other people. Well, motherfucker, you're going to dish it out. You better not be so soft that you can't take it. Because I'm going to tell you right now, you are a combination of two of the idiots on the Lakers right now. You are a perfect amalgamation of LeBron James and Anthony Davis at this point. That you are the LeBum LeBitch of the Eastern Conference who expects all the golden boy calls, all the fucking calls in your favor, and you whine and bitch about it left and right, all over the court, just like LeBron does in the Western Conference. So you're LeBron LeBitch in the Eastern Conference, and then you know what? You are Anthony Davis also. You are fucking Glass Joe, fragile motherfucker, because you're constantly getting hurt. So if you're going to be a big badass and throw your weight around with elbows and try and hurt other people, be ready to get receipts and be ready to find out that, if you dish it out, you better be able to take it. And in this situation, I don't think you can. at this point in what happened in this whole situation that's happened now. I was like, listen, this series is over. And now we have more animosity from the Sixers Nation than ever before at this point because of what's happened. Well, Sixers Nation, I'm going to tell you right now, and if Render Gamer, you're here, I'll be respectful to you and stuff like that. Listen, sometimes you bite off more than you can chew. And it's really interesting how this happened in every kind of way. Listen, Pascal did not mean to do this. You saw the love between them after the game and all that kind of stuff. And Pascal's a class act. And listen, there was nothing wrong with his move. It was within the boundaries of valid basketball moves trying to go to the basket. It's just his face just happened to be in the way. And oh well. I mean, listen, you can look at it from our side. You can look at it from their side. Your side saying, oh, you hit him dirty. I said that he had a clear path to go to the basket, and fucking Joel Embiid's face just happened to be where he was going. And that's that. You know, we can all look at it from the other side and different sides, and we won't ever line up. So you guys can spin it all you guys want away in all the different ways you want to look at how this happened. Say that Siakam's a dirty player. You know, call for Jack Armstrong's job. That's the other thing they're doing. They're trying to tell TSN to fire Jack Armstrong from the call of saying it was Bush league for him to do the airplane, and then you get what you deserve. And all over Jack Armstrong's Twitter, all over the place is saying, you get what you deserve. And now the Philly fans are doubling down on that. They're saying, well, you know what, Jack, you're going to get what you deserve. We want to know where you live. We're going to find your family. And that's when you start crossing a line. When you start doing like social network kind of terrorism, when you're threatening somebody's family, you're starting talking about like raping family members of somebody else or killing people and stuff like that. Yeah, Philly fan, you're calling us classless. You're calling us tacky. Listen, you guys need a fucking mirror, and everything you say, you just project it right back onto yourself. Because you're the fan base that boos your own team halfway through a game. We're the fan base that gives a standing ovation to our team at the end of the season, even though they lost. You know, we're this fan base that stands out in the fucking snow on a Monday night watching our team get blown out by 20 points. You're the fan base that walks out on your own team and starts booing them. So let's not get this twisted, Sixers Nation. Do not project the ugliest fan base in the sports, in any sport, Philadelphia, the city, onto Toronto, because that is y'all, and y'all need to own it and wear it because it's y'all. You can try and project it all kinds of different ways on different people, but you're even in your activities since this has all gone down, you are showing just how ugly and full of shit y'all are. Like death threats to Jack Armstrong, talking about like, Pascal, you're not going to be safe in Philadelphia when you come back next year for your next game, all that kind of stuff. That talk is fucked up. It's toxic, and your fan base is very toxic, and it's very fucked up. And like Andrew said right here, he said, I appreciate karma. Well, so do I. I appreciate things when they all seem to work out because there's some sort of balance in this universe, that there's some sort of balancing thing out there, and that this is what's happened at this point. And honestly, this doesn't even have to do with us, the Raptors, or Pascal Siakam, or Jack Armstrong. This has to do with your player, Joel Embiid, and just who he is and the character of him. That you got to understand that a whole series of events is caused by him. And that is who you need to blame in some ways also. But I'll blame the referees and Doc Rivers instead, because I know Joel's just an immature idiot man-child, and that he doesn't have any self-awareness to understand how he comes off and how he's hurting his image around the league. Because it's not even Toronto Raptor fan that thinks he's tacky and he's a bum and he's an idiot and a villain. A big chunk of the league feels this way about him. Whether it's that dirty play on Josh Giddey this year or any kind of other dirty shit he's done all year in other leagues and stuff like that. When you're the biggest guy on the court, you shouldn't have to do that kind of shit. You should just let your play do the talking. And maybe you need to revise your persona and way you work out on the court. Maybe you won't, because it's just you. That's the leopard with his spots. That's not my problem. Ultimately, this is all Sixers' problem. Because listen, Sixers Nation, you can be fucking upset and up in arms about the whole development of yesterday and his injury and how it's going to affect you and the heat and stuff like that. But you know what? These are still just salty tears that we just collect with our teacups, Tom Duke and I, and we go and sit by the window and we read our paper and we smile and we feel content. And then we have a little sip of the tears because that's all that's going on with y'all now on social media. You're whining and crying and bitching. And you know what? You would do on the flip side, you would be so fucking stupid in the other way. You would be like, ugh. I know you guys would. So basically, I'll say this: I hate seeing players get injured. We did a prayer at the beginning of this series 2 Saturdays ago on a morning right around now. I did a prayer saying, I hope nobody gets hurt in this series. And I meant it. And then that night, we saw your player intentionally going out to hurt our players. And that's what I'll just say. What Andrew's saying right here. I appreciate karma. Yeah. All right. There we go. Callie is saying, I love how Pascal apologized for the elbow. Yes, this man did not mean to do this. If he did, and he's doing things as undercover, and he did this, then this man's a great actor. This man is not only a great actor, he's really good at getting revenge and not getting in trouble on the court. Whether it's that holding his ground on defense, and Joel's all of a sudden horizontal, and that was game 2 after he gave him receipt for the game 1. Yeah, he did that legally, but he did it with a physicalness that made him feel it. And maybe that's similar to the play with the elbow on Thursday night, that he did it with a reasoning. It was a valid Pascal play. They went back and looked at it. They called an offensive foul in the end. But, listen, whatever you guys want. You're saying you want them to suspend Pascal. You want them to fine him. They want him to do all this bullshit. Well, the referees made their call. And they said that was just an offensive foul. They didn't even say it was an egregiously flagrant foul, because y'all didn't get free throws in the ball after that. We just lost possession of the ball because we were on offense, and they reversed it. And even all that was real fishy because the foul originally was on Joel. And in some ways, it still should have been, even though he got hurt in the play. I'm going to say that right now, even though he should have still got the foul. I'm not going to lie. And y'all can come at me for this in all kinds of ways, Sixer Nation. But I got a rip-torn army of wrench throwers sitting here with me too. So, all right, let's see. But yeah, Callie, very classy of Pascal Siakam. I don't give a shit what they say. They're going to say all kinds of ugly things. They're saying things like, they see Navbatia in their arena, they call us the terrorist team, because they see a guy in a turban and they say, oh, he's a terrorist, because they're dumbass Americans that are still stuck in 9/11 kind of thinking that everybody brown for whatever walk of life is a terrorist. And these are racists. They're fucking racists, and they're xenophobes, and they're coming out of the woodworks, and they're calling us a terrorist fan base because Navbatia is the terrorist. They said, get that terrorist out of our building. And then they're also talking about how Canada doesn't need a team. They want to get rid of the team here and all this kind of stuff. They're coming with all the regular anti-Canadian bullshit right now. And it's hilarious to a degree, because once again, as a nation, for us, we can be the better person by ignoring their shit. We don't need to get engaged in little stupid back and forths with them on social media. Let's just sit back and watch them whine and cry, just like they're doing right now, and sip that tea. Tom Duke and I by the window, sipping that tea of the tears. Oh, yeah. And he did. He was really classy. He's been classy about this. And I'll tell you right now, if Pascal knows the new information about how far the injury is, he feels absolutely horrible right now. In fact, I'll bet you he's already talked to Joel again and really doubled down on his apology personally to him, because he feels awful about this. He doesn't want him to be hurt like this going in the next series. It's not like this was intentional, Sixer Nation. We don't want you to be hurt going into the next series. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Why do we care? It's like, listen, this is an unfortunate thing that happened. But I'm going to say right now, there was a series of unfortunate events that could have probably headed this off before it actually happened. And that is part of what, like Nick Nurse has said a couple times this season, the refs are letting it be too physical out there, and guys are getting hurt. And he doesn't like the epidemic of more injuries in this league because of this in some ways, that they need to figure this out. There has to be a balance between letting them play, but also protecting them while they let them play. And this is something the NBA should look at, because this year had more games missed for different reasons, part of it COVID, but also because of injuries. There were more games missed by NBA players than any other year in the history of the NBA this year. And that I can tell you that for a fact. I haven't even checked the stat. I know that's true because of all the COVID and all of the physicalness and the injuries that was happening also. That, you don't get your best brand of basketball. You don't get your best two teams out there when really good players are hurt and they're not out there. So nobody wants this. I told you, I did a prayer every day to try and stop injuries from happening in this series. And I meant it. And I meant it for both sides. I didn't just mean it for Toronto Raptors, you know? So that's what I'll say on that. MK saying the Toronto Raptors are the best organization in the NBA. We are destined for a chip. I agree with this, MK. I've even said this year, I feel like we're the best sports franchise in all of sports. And that may make a Philadelphia fan or a Boston fan say, go, because listen, it's quality right on through. You listen to what Thad Young said yesterday in his exit interview for the season, and he said he has never worked for a more elite, more put together, more badass franchise in his career, his 15-year career in the NBA. And this man played for Sixers. This man played for Bulls. This man played for Nets. So he knows a lot about Eastern Conference teams, and he's been on them. He's seen them. And he said nobody prepares, nobody runs with the class and the quality of people in all the different positions around the organization. Thad Young has said that, and he put it out there. And some people have said we need to take that clip that Thad Young said yesterday in his interview and give it to all the young players so they can understand what the Toronto Raptors are all about, because it's a great promotional video for us. And it's true, MK. I would double up on what you said. And don't even say the NBA. We're the best sports franchise out of all the sports. I'm talking about English Premier League. I'm talking about NFL. I'm talking about MLB. I'm talking about NHL. We are the best franchise, best run franchise, most functional, best team in any kind of sport anywhere. And I believe that. And that is part of what we're doing here is appreciation. But today is going to be mostly about appreciating our team, our franchise, and everything about it. But we have to balance it with the news of the day, obviously, because anybody wants to talk about the stuff that's happened with Embiid's injury now. That is fine too. It's an open market. We're talking about appreciation for the Toronto Raptors in general. If there's something that you just want to say, get off your chest, put out more gratitude in this world, because we need to share more love. As Gary Trent Jr. has said, we need to share more love out there. So today we're sharing love about our Raptors from this past season and all the great things about them. And I love what I'm seeing here. We're overachieving. We're best organization. I love this stuff. All right, let's see what Callie's saying. All right, I love it. We got lots of stuff to cover, and I will definitely get everybody. Blue City's here. I will definitely do an apology and want to talk to you guys because I do want to make amends with Sixers Nation to an extent. But yeah, things are getting out of control in some ways right now. In some ways, really getting out of control. Let's see. Callie's saying also, I just watched Dr. Video on his injury, and it's serious. Yeah, it is. It's serious, and it didn't look serious at that point. And even after the game, when they were doing all the hugging, and even at that point when they met in the hallway, and Drake told Joel Embiid, "You're going to get swept by Miami," and he said, "Kyle's my brother." he said, "You're going to get swept by Miami, and Kyle's my brother." To Joel Embiid when he was talking trash in the entryway on the way out after Game 6 and stuff like that. But yeah, it is a serious one. But this is the thing, and this is what it figured out. And Sixers fan, you might want to hear this also, is that it's the bad part of it is the concussion in some ways, because if he had just broken his orbital bone, he could just put the mask on and continue to play. But because he's on concussion protocol, he's actually got to sit at least 3 games. But that's all. I think he'll sit, and he'll probably be back for Game 4. So he could be back as soon as that. But he has to pass the protocols to show that he's not dealing with the concussion symptoms anymore. So there is a possibility that it will be more than the 3 games. It could be 4. But yeah, it's crazy. And G's saying death threats to Pascal, shaking my head. Yeah, it's insane. Listen, Pascal's really smart. I went and checked all of his social media. He has it very limited who can write stuff on his stuff. Thank God. And then also, Jack Armstrong's getting absolutely skewered. Sixers Nation's all over his Twitter right now, just repeating "you get what you deserve" over and over again towards him and stuff like that. But yeah, the death threats and stuff like that, this isn't nothing original in sports, but it is kind of really getting kind of crazy in some ways. Some of the stuff that's being said is just not right. It's not right. And it's not a good look. I would never go and say, I want to kill Joel Embiid's family, or I want to go kill the announcer. I want to go rape the announcer's wife. I would never say that kind of stuff. And that's the kind of stuff that's getting said right now by Sixers Nation coming back at us. And first of all, I'm just going to mention that it's there, but we don't need to put a spotlight on it or go look at it ourselves unless you really want to, so you can understand exactly what these people are saying. But it's better for us to just ignore it because it's just toxic noise that has nothing to do with anything really in reality. Like this is a very small minority. And also we have to realize most people don't give a shit this much about the Sixers as a very, very diehard Sixer fans who are coming for the heads of Jack Armstrong and Pascal Siakam right now. So yeah, it's crazy. Oh my God. It is crazy, Callie. It's absolutely crazy. Tom Duke's saying these Philly fans are so toxic. They are so toxic to the point that they're not even in grip in reality about how they sound or what they're trying to do right now. Like, listen, a lot of what they're saying about our fan nation right now is really just a reflection of themselves. I'm being completely honest. This is a pure, simple case of a toxic person or a toxic fan base in this case projecting their toxicity onto another place. Sure, there's toxicity within our fan base also. And sure, there are some fans that would act like this from our end also. But what I'm saying is when they say that our whole fan base is classless and all these other things like that, it's really what they're saying is they're talking about themselves. And that's how we have to look at it at this point. Let's see. Embiid, G is saying Embiid is injured or be injured. He throws that energy out there. He's a common denominator in this, and hence why people are always injured around him or he is injured. Yeah, he's dangerous. Like, listen, there's something about a Bill Cartwright elbow or something like a Karl Malone elbow and stuff like that. Those were dangerous things back then too, but they were within measure and stuff. There's a real purpose sometimes to his lashing out on the court and the different things that he's doing. And yes, our guys have been dirty too. I'm not going to deny that, Chris Boucher trying to grab his ankle when he's running back up the court is dirty. Or OG doing a little slide kick, or even some of the hits we put on them. This is the thing. That's just test how soft we are, and we have to show y'all that we're not soft. That if you meet us with a certain energy, we will meet you back with it. And that we weren't the instigators in the beginning of this. In fact, before the series even started, when Nick Nurse described this series as being a slugfest, which really poor choice of words in some ways, Nick Nurse, in hindsight at this point, that we didn't need to set this up as this, but it was going to be this anyway. It's Eastern Conference. It's Eastern Conference NBA basketball. It's going to be a slugfest to a degree. But when Pascal heard there was going to be a slugfest, he was almost like, oh, God, I hope not. He's like, he didn't want the violence right from the start. In his interview before the playoffs even started, he said, I don't want this to be a slugfest. I just want the best team to win. So it's not that this man is out there trying to be a thug or hurt your guys. He said it right at the beginning that he didn't even want this to be anything like a slugfest. And that's what he said. And that's just the truth. We can show you the receipts. Every single point. This man is a nice guy. He likes Joel Embiid as a person. It's just they're competitors and they have to, compete. And they have to do it at the levels they have to and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think you're right. Embiid really is the common denominator in a lot of these instances over the course of this year. And that's what that's something about this. Like I said, you dish it out, you better be able to take it. That's all I have to say. Callie Meyer is saying, didn't realize it was that bad. Threats? Doc didn't have to have him in the game. Yeah, Callie, it's gotten really bad. And I've been monitoring Sixers Nation pretty closely this whole series. And it's so crazy that it hasn't been like this until now. It's like the series is over. And now they absolutely hate Toronto Raptors Nation in all kinds of different ways right now. It's actually really crazy. Now, if you like seeing this kind of stuff like Raymond Jacob does, because obviously he does, go and look at it. But I would advise don't even go look at it. Don't even try and go seek it out or anything like that. It's just going to make you mad. And it may make you feel like, oh, and stuff like that. So just ignore it. We're done. We're not even playing at this point. So it's like, let's just go on to other things. Blue Jays season, the Leafs are about to be in the playoffs and stuff like that. So, yeah, it is pretty bad. The injury's bad. And now that they know that their playoff chances are over, that's why they're mad at us and they're taking it out on us because they know they're done. I knew they were done already. They were done with a half-injured Embiid against the Miami Heat. But now they're really done. Honestly, if he's going to miss some games, they're definitely done. G's saying when he elbowed our Raptors, it was 90s basketball, but when Pascal unintentionally does it, it's suddenly dirty. Yeah, it's really framing. Like, once again, basketball and things that happen in the NBA and this world really reflect and show good examples of how things happen in the other areas of the world, whether it's politics. It's all about spin. It's all about spinning or putting it on your side, or taking it and looking at it from the side that benefits you and what you are trying to get out of the situation. And that is what it's going to be like this. It's just like right and left. It's just like Democrat and Republican down south. They're going to spin it from whatever way they want to say it to make it sound right. Whether it's the January 6th thing that happened, listen to how some people spin that was. That was a sightseeing tour. That was a tour to, we were just advancing our freedom and we're the real Americans. See, it's from their perspective, it's from their bias that informs how they think and stuff like that. And we are the same. We have to recognize that in our own environment also, and have to try and be honest and fair with ourselves, and try and keep a base of reality, as far as like, listen, this is my own kind of like just prejudices and my beliefs and stuff like that as a Raptors fan is influencing me and my belief of this whole situation. If we can objectively do that and take yourself out of it and look at it from as an outsider perspective, then you can have a more informed overall view. But these people are not willing to do that. They're just being very like in their own what they care about, and this is why this is this, and then they label it the way they want to. And it's a really great example for how you can see how people can be delusioned in different areas, whether it's politics or whatever in the world, and really believe what they believe because they want to believe it, and they will reinforce and give evidence and all this kind of stuff. And maybe I'm doing that partly with what I've said already about this whole thing. But then again, I don't know what's fair. Maybe we need another fan nation to come in here and give their opinion about this. Like, what would Boston Celtics fans say in this situation? What would a Western team that doesn't play us very much say in this situation? And how do they feel about it all? That's what's curious about this. Very interesting about this. I think I don't like any players getting injured either. G. It's not good for the game. There's certain things that are good for the game, and certain things that aren't. And that's what I'm saying. Joel, you're already the biggest guy on the court. You could just do dominant Shaq kind of shit. Was Shaq out there just hitting people in the face, fucking people up? No, because he'd probably murder them. And you're that close. Like, Chris Boucher was not acting when he was getting up off the floor in his head and how he was hurt. You hit him pretty hard. And now Shaq didn't do shit like that to people. I don't remember ever hearing that Shaq actually hurt or injured somebody so bad because he outwardly was hitting people. You've got to understand, you're a big man and you can hurt people left and right. You need to adjust your game. And that may be part of what this has happened, is that you need to stop inviting or putting in that physical aspect of the game that's unnecessary. Just let your game speak for itself. Let your jump shot speak for itself. Let your rebounding speak for itself. Let a block shot speak for yourself. And quit all this extracurricular bullshit. Because you could be a very well-respected, liked pro in this league if you just cut all that extra shit out. People would start to like you from other fan nations and start to be like, wow, Joel Embiid should be the MVP because he's such a class act. You're not a class act, and that's part of what it is. And I know people will be like, why are you fucking talking to my guy like this? He's hurt like this. Fuck you. He fucking brought this on himself to a degree. And that is what I'll say right now. All right, let's see. Lumpy's saying, I love that I learn about myself when I watch the team. These guys are good and hardworking human beings. Messiah and the organization are beacons of excellence. I love this, Lumpy. This is a great thing you're saying. You're saying that by watching the team, seeing how they go about their business, see how they work hard, how their attitudes are, how they work together, how they do all kinds of different ways. And it is a great example for us in our own lives. I love what you're saying here. They're good, hardworking human beings that set an example for everybody. These aren't like prima donnas that just get the checks and go to the strip club. They aren't people that are just like assholes, like Joel Embiid. These are likable, fun people that you enjoy seeing have success. And that is something that you emulate in your own life. That is something, maybe you take characteristics from something you see with OG, and you're like, OG said, I want to be I'm a mentor. He was talking about this yesterday in his exit interview. He's like, I'll be a mentor for you. And like Amy Audibert said, you'll mentor me? He's like, yeah, you want me to be a mentor? That's a great example of being giving to people, or being there for people, or sharing knowledge, or mentoring people. what you're saying. They are a beacon of excellence. And Lumpy, this is a great example of the kind of statements we're looking for today in the Saturday Show Love Club. Saturday Share Love, Show Love Club that Gary Trent inspired me to start today. Tom Duke's saying our fans breaking off and cheering anyone getting hurt ain't cool either. I do believe in karma, though. Yeah. Listen, I'm going to say this about the whole idea of saying fans boo or cheer injuries. There's so much going on the court. And once again, we talked about this Kevin Durant injury in the finals of 2019 a couple of times. People need to realize that once again, what I was just talking about is they want to put their slant in what they see and what they hear. And that, we're not so egocentric for Kevin Durant that we're just looking at him on the court. And maybe y'all were as a Warriors nation, but we weren't. We saw a steal and they were going down the court and we're cheering Serge Ibaka trying to score a basket. That there's so much going on the court all at once at any given time that you can infer somebody getting hurt, and we may not even know somebody got hurt. So why the fuck do you think we're cheering that? We could be, that's your own ego saying that, oh, you're so centric that we're only centered on Kevin Durant. No, we're watching Serge Ibaka. It's the same thing that y'all were saying about Scotty Barnes twist his ankle and y'all cheering Fred VanVleet getting fouled out. I believe y'all. I don't believe that you were cheering Scotty's hurt. I think you were cheering that Fred VanVleet just happened to foul out at the same time. And that's what I'm trying to say is anybody who thinks that crowd fan bases are cheering injuries are fucking stupid. And that there's always something else going on the court that has something else happen. And that none of us wanted Joel Embiid to miss games in the second round, but it is what it is, so be it. But none of us wanted that. See that. What do we care? We're not playing anymore right now. We don't give a shit if he's playing or not against Miami. In fact, we want him to play against Miami because we want to see the best series between Miami and Philadelphia. We want to see the best basketball and nobody get hurt. This is the same thing we've been saying all year, this series, like Blue City and us, is we want to see good basketball and nobody got hurt. And that's what we want. We always want that. Blue City saying good game from game 6. Listen, Blue City, listen, man. I know that your fan nation's out of control right now, but listen, I understand why they're upset. And I understand that you're being here and stuff like that is really nice. And I do want to try and keep things mending like fences. We need to mend fences as much as we can in this situation. I'm just really appreciate the opportunity to have a discourse with a Sixers fan and talk about this in an adult way that actually gets across how we feel about this. And I know maybe some of the things I've already said on the stream, you may not particularly like in some ways, but also I do want to find where we can have common ground also today. But yeah, it's tough. Listen, it's like I said earlier, it's like you may have beat the rattlesnake and killed the rattlesnake, but somehow that venom got in the skin a little bit and it's still hurting in some ways. G saying, I agree. Flagrants from both sides are deserved. Should have been called to set the tone. Listen, in some ways, if somebody's being overly physical in a dangerous way, you need to call that flagrant right away. Because if they keep continuing, it just gets amped up. And there's more and more chance of injury as the game goes on. So nip it in the bud. Hit that first time you see that errant elbow, give somebody a technical flagrant. And that means if they get another one, they're out of the game. And that's a really good way, much like foul trouble, to keep a player kind of under control from being overtly physical. So use that first one, referees, Zach Zarba. Use that first one. As soon as you see an overt hit to the head or anywhere around here in any kind of way, put that on someone. I don't care if it's a Raptor or a Sixer or whatever team that's playing. Put it on them. Because it'll make that particular player who's hitting out already think twice about doing it more for the game. And then there's no retribution. There's no receipts. There's no go back and forth that may get out of control and spiral into this, is what I'll say. So referees, do it for everyone and do it equally. Don't golden boy treatment fucking LeBron and Embiid and give them passes to go ahead and be a thug out on the court. Go ahead and give them also that thing because they need to be a part of it. It can't be unfair. It has to be. If the aggressors out there doing this kind of shit, they need to get the first flagrant and they need to be warned. If you get another one, we're throwing you out of the game. because that's the only way that they can control this or stop these kind of unnecessary injuries from happening. If you is what I'll say. A Blue City saying, I will never root or be happy for a player that got injured. I'm not happy about this at all. And I did not root for this either. And listen, I know that you guys think that we were happy that this happened. We were not. We were not. And like, more that we find out about this, this is upsetting. A lot of Raptor fans feel really bad for Joel Embiid right now. We have you guys have called our fan nation soft. Well, we are soft to a degree. We're Canadians. We have a heart, and we don't like seeing things like this happen. There's nobody celebrating Joel being hurt. Now we're saying that, yeah, maybe things come around, goes around. But otherwise, I'm not happy about this at all. I want, like I said just a couple minutes ago, I want to see the best series possible between Miami and Philadelphia. And this doesn't allow for that. And that's unfortunate. And that sucks. I hate it, actually. I really hate it. And I hate that all this ugliness has mushroomed overnight because of this development with Joel's injury. That nobody wanted this. We were done. We're on our way home for the summer right now. Our players are on their way home. They're going to other places. We're not even thinking about basketball. And now we're being sucked back into the whole news of it all because Sixers Nation wants our heads all of a sudden. It's crazy. G saying, yes, Blue, never want a series derailed because of injury. Nobody wants this. And most of the people here were going to echo what we're saying. I did not want to see Joel get hurt. I didn't think he was hurt, actually. None of us knew this until last night. You guys didn't know it. None of us knew it. So it's just an unfortunate thing that happened, and we nobody likes it. I really don't think anybody likes it. Tom Duke saying Embiid is one tough dude. Knew his face was busted in his post game. Yeah, that's crazy. Like, honestly, sure, let's give him some kudos for pain tolerance. Let's give him some kudos for being a walk-in medical ward and being able to still function on an NBA court and score points and do stuff with a thumb that's all fucked up and now an orbital bone that was cracked at the same time. That is pretty badass. And not only that, the Sixers, when they left Toronto on Thursday, they didn't fly out. Doc Rivers was talking about this after the game. It's really crazy. Because of the way that they treat flying out of Pearson, you have to test. And they didn't want to risk anybody testing and getting a positive COVID test and getting like quarantined at the border in Buffalo, kind of like Tyronn Lue did when the Clippers came here on New Year's. So what they did was they rented a bus and they went across the border on a bus on the road and drove 20 hours back to Philadelphia instead of flying back because they had the time anyway. And that's why there was a delay with them finding this out, is that they were literally on a bus driving through Niagara Falls to get back into the States to avoid getting a positive test and getting caught in a quarantine here. It's really smart. And those kind of things for teams are kind of fun sometimes. For them, they just won a series. They get to ride on a bus and kind of be, that kind of stuff. But it wasn't until they finally did get back to Philadelphia 20 hours later, it was a 20-hour bus ride, apparently, that they found out the news when they could go see the team doctor. And that's what happened. Yeah. All right, let's see. GMA saying Embiid is a bitch and he's a fake tough guy. I mean, listen, I don't want to call him a bitch. I mean, I have called him a bitch, but I'm not going to call him one right now just because he's hurt and it's sad. But I'll allow you to call him that. I have no problem with you calling him that. And in some ways, this is a fake tough guy thing. But everybody keeps saying fuck around, find out. Sometimes fake toughness, and even we know in pro wrestling, that's fake too. And they're fake and they're bummed, but people get hurt because there can be dangerous things that happen. You could get hurt in a wrestling match real easy. And it's the same thing here. You're going to have this fake tough shit, the peacocking that I've talked about, that Pascal shed light on. He said, this is all fake fighting. This is not real. We're just kind of butting up. Well, fuck around and do a little bit of fake fight and see if actually it's only funny until someone gets hurt, kind of thing. And that's what this is. This might as well be two kids, two brothers, roughhousing in the living room. And mom says, you guys need to calm down. Oh, mom, we won't do anything. And then boom, somebody's got a black eye. Something like that. It's the same kind of shit. All right, let's see. G saying refs need to control the game better. You can tell when a game is going to have injuries because of the refs. Yeah, I agree with this. And listen, I wouldn't be upset if they're tighter with the whistle in these kind of situations. And y'all need to really think about this, NBA refs, because this is a problem. Nick Nurse has said injuries were way too much this year. Too many guys missing games left and right. Callie saying it was just lucky that none of our players got our faces broken. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of places. These guys probably are hurt in some ways. Like Chris Boucher's probably got a big bruise on the back of his head. He's probably got a couple of injuries from this series. Like, go talk to Chris Boucher, see what he's dealing with after trying to wrestle with Joel Embiid for 6 games. There's probably real bruises and bumps that our guys took. Well, once again, our team keeps everything in house. We're not talking about all this shit out there unless we absolutely have to. Like, it was divulged that Fred's injuries, that he was in his exit interview yesterday, he's talking about all the different things he'd been dealing with, and he actually just laid it on the table because we're done. He doesn't have to hide anything for proprietary reasons or whatever. He can just say, "Listen, yeah, I was hurt since the New Orleans game in New Orleans. I hit my knee on the court and it never got right back. But I did try and play through it. And I thought I did pretty good," is what he said. And he did. After that, we went on the West Coast trip. He returned for the San Antonio Spurs game. And then, boom, we won 5 in a row in Western Conference buildings. Never something we'd done as a franchise before. And there's something to appreciate about the Raptors team this year, is that they did something in their history that they've never, ever done, is go on a West Coast road trip and win 5 straight on that road trip. That has never been done by the Raptors. And kudos to the Raptors for that fantastic achievement, especially knowing that our captain, Frederico, was actually very, very hurt with his knee, and he was able to play at a really high level. This is something we got to understand. He was continuing to wear down since that New Orleans game right before All-Star break. So everything after the All-Star break, we did not have Fred anywhere near 100%. He was maybe 90% one night, 80% one night, 70% one night, and so on. So there you go. That's something there right there. And yeah, we're lucky. We had players get hurt from bullshit like this. Look at Kem Birch right now. Like, what the nose thing. Tom Duke's bringing it up. Kem's nose still hurts, I bet. Like, yeah, he had it indented. Like I said, at that time, when something like that happens, when you hit somebody in the nose like this, that's how a barroom fight, a barroom brawl turns into a murder, is when you hit somebody in the nose, because you can very easily hit somebody's nose bone into their brain and kill them. So that is a very dangerous thing that happened to Kem Birch earlier this season. And then even since, any elbow or anything coming up, that's almost him risking his life to a degree, in some ways. So yeah, it's crazy. Seymour saying it's called karma. He was celebrating with 3 minutes to go, and now he's out indefinitely. What a bum. I know. Listen, Alvin Williams says ball don't lie. It's like I said, you get a technical foul called on you and you didn't really deserve it, and the guy goes to the line and he misses the free throw. Ball don't lie. In some ways, there's some weird unseen forces out there that balance everything out. Everything gets balanced. And maybe this is the thing, Joel. You don't want to overstep with this kind of showboating. You don't want to overstep with different kind of physicality and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, it's such a bad turn of events. And really, Sixers, you guys were, on your way to some good things, I think, in some ways. But I still think that he's too hurt for you guys to beat Miami before this injury, like with just the thumb injury. Callie saying, I don't blame Raps fans for being salty. Flying around arena, we didn't send death threats after Scotty. Listen, there's a lot of people in our fan nation, Raptors fan nation, saying, why do we care about this airplane thing that he did so much? Who cares? Who gives a shit? It's like, in some ways, they're right. We shouldn't give a shit about it. It's just stupid. It actually reflects more on him poorly than us. But the one thing about it that I'll say is what I said earlier this week. It's a poor example for young people. For the young 10-year-old kid who plays in a basketball league with other kids in Philadelphia, he sees his hero, Joel Embiid, doing that, and he goes and he plays in a game across town in Philly and maybe in the South Side or something like that, and he does that, and boom, somebody's getting shot outside after the game. It's that kind of shit. It's just unnecessary. It is Bush League. As much as Jack Armstrong is getting hate for what he said, he's exactly right. It was Bush League. It's amateur hour. It's not necessary. You see a young 2-year player like Tyrese Maxey and the way he handles himself out there, and he is not doing that kind of shit. So that's what I'll say. It's amateur hour, and it's a bad example for young people in sports. Is that, you don't want to put that example out there like that, Joel Embiid, because you don't know what kind of misfortune and misery will be spawned from it in the smaller areas of the world, in the pockets of intramural basketball, whatever sport, where somebody showboats or they see your influence of showboating when you're up that high, and then boom, They're doing it in their own games. And then all of a sudden, other ugly things are happening on lower levels of sports. And that's why I have a problem with it. It's not that he did it. I don't have any problem with the golf clap. I don't have any problem with people doing gestures on the court. It's just do it timed in the right place. And being up by that much and in that moment was not the right time to do that. And then once again, we said it, Doc Rivers shouldn't have had your ass out there on the court in that point anyway. The game was pretty much out of hand, and he was only risking you, losing you for the next round. And that's exactly what happened. That is exactly what happened. All right, let's see. GMA saying, laugh out loud, Philly just mad realizing they never had a chance to beat Miami. Well, now they have a good excuse for why they're probably going to lose to Miami. And yeah, it is what it is. I don't think they actually had a chance before this anyway, to be honest. I think Miami's just such a better run team. They have a way better coach. They have better shooters off their bench compared to the Philly bench. Like they have a similar kind of makeup of their bench. But the Miami bench is way better. When you have Victor Oladipo coming off your bench, yeah, that's an all-star that was on the Pacers a couple years ago, absolutely killing this league. And he's a luxury that they have coming off the bench. Yeah, there's the matchup in some ways. Embiid was their most dominant, important person, and now he's gone. And their bench won't line up. And then you got James Harden and Tyrese Maxey against Lowry, Butler, and Adebayo. PJ Tucker, those are really good veterans that know how to win in the playoffs. And those guys are much more inexperienced in some ways. Harden isn't, but look, Harden's not going to be able to match up with all those guys on the other end and stuff like that. So GMA is also saying Philly fans need to be straitjacketed and in the mental hospital. All right, I'll read the comments. I don't necessarily endorse them or say that they're my voice. But this is GMA's voice, and I have no problem with it right now. It's fair. If it's Raptor fan, I'll say it. Blue City saying, hold up. I'm a Sixers fan, and I don't do no death threats. Okay, good. I know it's not you, man, but there are other people. And I'm seeing it's really in Twitter. If you go to Twitter and you go to Jack Armstrong's Twitter page, you're going to see a lot of ugliness from Sixers fans right now. And it's funny because they keep yelling at me like, shut up, you old Canadian ass. And I'm like, this dude's not Canadian. Jack Armstrong's from America. He lives in New York. He lives in upstate New York. He's American. I don't think he's even become a Canadian citizen. When he calls our games, he actually crosses the border and comes to Toronto to call them. He's a New York guy. He's a Brooklyn guy. He's a New York dude. This isn't a Canadian dude saying you get what you deserve. This is New York talking to Philly when he says you get what you deserve. You heard his accent. You think that's a Canadian accent? No, that's a Brooklyn accent because that man is straight up Brooklyn. And he lives in America. He lives in the United States. He does not live in Canada. He actually travels to and from for the games to Toronto. He drives across the border every single time. So, yeah, it's that kind of stuff. But, yeah, I know it's not you, Blue City, but I have seen some Sixers fans going online on social media saying things like they want to rape family members of certain people. They're going to watch out when you come to Philadelphia. We're going to get you. They're doing a lot of like terrorizing threats and different kinds of things like that to poor Jack. Jack's so old, he doesn't understand Twitter. Now he's getting all this Twitter hate all of a sudden and stuff like that. It's like, listen, it's crazy. And you know what? I'll bet you Jack won't say something like that ever again, that he's learned his lesson. He's had a couple tough lessons this year, Ron Jeremy. And now, you deserve what you get. That's probably a bad statement to say at any point in the game, Jack. And now you understand that you can say that at that moment when it seems like everything's fine. But if there's a aftermath or some more details come out later, it looks real bad afterwards. And I agree, it was a tacky thing to say at that moment. But he was also kind of expressing somewhat what Raptor fans were feeling in that moment. Not that we felt like he deserved an injury. And that's the other thing. We need to make that semantic difference is he's not saying that he deserved the injury. That was all after the fact. We did not know he was going to get the injury. It's just that he deserved the receipt of getting hit because of the way he was acting. And that is very similar to baseball where somebody showboats and the other team's up by way too much and somebody gets hit by a pitch. It's a very similar kind of old school sports kind of thing and stuff. So, but yeah, I appreciate Blue City. Once again, like with anything in this world, we can't just put everybody into one box and say they're all the same. Raptor fan is all this. Sixer fan is all this. Black people are all this. White people are all this. We can't do that kind of shit. That's awful. and that's wrong, and that's stereotyping. So I do not think it's all of Sixers fans. In fact, we know, because we personally know good Sixers fans here, that there are, good, decent people on both sides, and then there are really bad, awful people also. And I won't say that we aren't immune to this too. We have tons of bad fans also, sure, too. Seymour Pape saying, I hate Sixers, Flyers, Phillies, Eagles, cheesesteaks. In Philly, we put that crack in the ball. Seymour. Oh, Seymour. Listen, and this is part of the thing that I hate about this whole animosity that's come about last night is there's a lot of anti-Canadian sentiment. There's a lot of people that are really playing this USA versus Canada thing because of the situation of us being the only Canadian team in this situation. There's people saying we need to lose our team. There's people saying that all Canadians are trash. There's all kinds of stuff that's being said. It's just awful. It's just awful. And once again, when we see this kind of noise out there in social media and different places and stuff like that, always realize that this is really truly a reflection of the person. Like Blue City's in here saying these things, that's a reflection of him. I say what I say, I guess that's a reflection of me. And I'm really out there on blast because you can really see what the reflection of me is. But Blue City is reflecting who he is. And that's why we got to say it's not all Sixers fans, it's not all Sixers Nation, but it is disheartening and stuff like that. And like I said, part of what I want to do here is to bring us together and stop having so much apart, tearing us apart. And there's a lot of that today. And I hate it. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. Tom Duke's got the 2 teacups and the tea and then the crying about it. Yep. Okay, freedom of speech. We got somebody from Sixers Nation. He said, "You are home on the couch. See you next season." Yeah, we'll see you next season. We're looking forward to it. We got a whole off season to work hard and try and get some good development out of our young players like Scotty and Precious. Who knows what kind of leaps and bounds these guys could do with their game this off season? Be really good. But I'm not actually sitting on a couch. I'm actually sitting on a chair right now. But freedom of speech, it's all good. It's all good. All right, let's see. Tom Duke saying, laugh out loud. Freedom of speech saying, it's playoff basketball. Physical play is part of the playoffs. I agree with this, but there's a difference between just straight up physicality, like positioning for rebounds and trying to get position and being like strong and holding people and doing different stuff and hitting out. There's two differences. And I won't say that, Pascal bringing his elbow up a little bit is a little bit like high, maybe, sure. But in general, people have been doing that this whole series in different ways and stuff like that. And his movement really was a move towards the basket. It wasn't a lash out. It wasn't like a strike like we've seen Joel do in this series. He'll go to the basket, and all of a sudden, this other arm off the ball is coming around and hitting somebody in the face and stuff like that. So, yeah, I won't disagree with the physical part. I just want the referees to control the really egregious, flagrant, kind of dangerous physical parts of this. And because Ural's goon was Joel Embiid, the biggest player on the court, and also the golden boy of the series, as far as the NBA media machine wants him on the court because he's the person on TV that everybody wants to see, that they're looking the other way for him. And he's getting a little bit of a different treatment than the average NBA player would get. And that in some ways, Joel sets that tone of dirtiness in this series. So it's like I said, you can dish it out. You better be able to take it. And that's what I'll say right now. All right, let's see. Tom Duke saying, this is true. There will be room for you in like 4 or 5 games. Yeah, all right. Tom saying, yeah, freedom of speech. We may be on the couch already, but you're not far behind. Let's just put it that way. G saying, all fan bases have toxic fans and hypocrites, but I found this series very bizarre. Yeah, I think part of it is, G, that we've been in here and we've been really cool with Sixers fans this whole time. Like we've had Sixers fans come in here and do what Freedom of Speech has done a couple times, and it's whatever, it's noise. But then we've had other people like Random Gamer, J.O., Blue City, other great Sixers fans come in here and actually really shed a light on how we are all so much more alike than we really believe, like understand and really are and stuff like that. So Dwight McPhee saying no class in Philly. Well, today on Twitter, that's true. Freedom of speech saying is Philly is a passionate fan base and very misunderstood. See, I can get behind this freedom of speech. I don't disagree with what you're saying. I think you're misunderstood also, but it's the same way as us. We're very misunderstood also. I mean, some of the things that y'all think about us are really crazy in some ways. Like, listen, Canadians have a sensitivity to being called classless and to be like told that you're not nice and stuff. And I understand why. It's because we want to be the nice country. In contrast to the US and stuff. And in this situation, we're kind of not totally the nice country. And I'm okay with that. I'll wear that. I'll wear that sweater. Because, like, listen, I'm a hybrid. I'm not actually fully Canadian. I am American also. I am an American citizen living in Canada, but I was born Canadian and I'm very American. I grew up in the United States in Tallahassee, Florida for 20 years. I was raised in the Florida public school system. So I very much understand the mentality of American sports fan bases. I was a Florida State Seminole. I really understand how passionate we get. And that clash between the University of Florida Gators and the Florida State Seminoles and the Miami Hurricanes and different ways like that. I understand the tribalism of sports. And what I'll say right here is you guys are very passionate. You're very, very, very much care about your teams. And I admire that part of it. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just, we got to kind of work within the sport. There's a certain level of Olympic spirit that is missing in certain aspects of all this, is where you respect your competitor and you respect the honor, the ceremony, and the whole event of it. That's not happening here. And that's fine. Everybody's different and every individual and stuff like that. I tell you right now, I admire Philadelphia for giving a shit because a lot of fan nations don't. A lot of people just don't give a shit about their team, and you guys do. So I admire that for sure. And you guys probably are quite misunderstood because there's a lot of weird history with your different sports teams and ugliness and different things like that. And you do get painted with that brush to a degree from the past things that have happened, stuff like that. Andrew saying Philly will be too busy losing to Miami to care about Toronto in a few days. Yeah, it's all going to change. In fact, Miami fan has already showed up. And they're all over them. They're like saying, this doesn't matter any Heat and 4. They're going off on them. And listen, they're not even worried about us because Heat fan is very active on social media in different places. And they can go all day between each other then. Yeah, I think you're right, Andrew, that this will go. But there is going to be a grudge that they're going to hold. And that they're going to want retribution against Pascal next year when we play them again and stuff like that. And they're already saying things. They wish different bad things on different people on our team and stuff like that. That's that. Like I said, each individual, it's more a reflection of them than the whole collective. Take it as it is, just like in life. Each individual, take it as it is. If this guy's an asshole, he's an asshole. This guy's a nice guy, he's a nice guy. You got to go that way with everything in this world, whether it's Raptor fan base or Philly fan base or cops or anything. Politicians, most politicians are garbage, but yeah. But cops, there's good cops and there's bad cops. You can't just label them all the same and stuff like that. It's a very similar thing. Freedom of speech is saying, I'm not mad about it. Of course I miss Embiid, but that's basketball, man. See, this is a man manning up and taking responsibility and ownership of this. He's not whining and bitching like other Philly fans are right now. You know what? I have a respect for you, freedom of speech, because even though you came in here with an edge right away, telling us we're all on our couches, you're saying a lot of sensible things since. So here, right now, we're getting a common ground of respect that you're owning up to it and respecting this just how it is. We can't change anything. So why the fuck are we gonna whine and cry about it? You just pick up the pieces and do the best from where you can from now. That's been the mentality of the Raptors team this whole year. It's like, we're not going to whine and cry because we can't have fans in our building. We're not whine and cry because, Ken Birch got his nose pushed into his head and now he's out because of some dirty shit. It's just how it is. It's the nature of the game. And you're exactly right, freedom of speech. It's basketball, man. That's what we got to say. Jeff Sisler saying they're whining because they know they can't win against Miami. Yeah, they're whining because seriously, this is as much as they got a Liberty Bell with a crack on it, gong. That's the gong saying that their season's over. It's gong. It's done. Because honestly, how realistic? Like, they were already the underdogs with Joel Embiid kind of like at full strength. Now with him not present for the first few games of the series, this is absolutely horrible for them. And then Miami and Boston is really looking like what the Eastern Conference Finals are going to be because of key injuries. Chris Middleton, Joel Embiid. Now, all of a sudden, we're going to see probably Miami versus Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals. And I will be rooting for Miami and Kyle Lowry right on through because I fucking hate the Celtics. Oh, my God, I hate the Celtics. And there you go. Freedom of speech. Let's get on the same team on that one. We both hate the fucking Celtics. I know that. All right, let's see. Andrew's saying Philly fans acting like Joel didn't recklessly injure many of our guys too. Yeah, it's a convenient memory. It's just like fucking Trump. Trump will do all this dirty shit and make up excuses for why he does it. But then if the Democrats do that shit, he's all over them for doing the exact same thing that he fucking did. It's the same shit. It's the same shit. It's projection, all this kind of stuff. Freedom of Speech saying all the load management is a joke. Back in the 80s and 90s, guys played 75 to 80 plus games a season. Yeah, I agree with this. Load management, Kawhi Leonard, all that bullshit. Listen, this dude is actually cut from the same cloth as me. Freedom of speech. Like seriously, he's come in here and he's just talking about it. And it's like I understand what the problems are with the game today, with the softness, with guys sitting out too much. Like one motherfucker had Nintendo-itis once. Motherfucker, put down the video games and stop fucking getting hurt for soft ass shit. Isaiah Thomas played with a broken hand through a whole fucking series. You know, Kyle Lowry on the Miami Heat, he played with a broken thumb, just like Joel's the whole 2019 playoff run. And we didn't hear anything about it. No complaining, nothing about it. We didn't hear about it until after it all was over. He's like, yeah, my thumb was fucked up this whole time. That's what I'm saying. You man up and you show up and you play. This is what Magic and people that played with broken feet, you know, fucked up hands, all kinds of shit. They didn't complain. They didn't fucking make excuses about it. And this is a symptom as a whole of the superstar mentality that has permeated the NBA over the last 10, 15 years. It's the LeBron era. It's the epitome of fucking LeBron and his bullshit. And that's why I want this to get more and more back to the old style. In fact, one of the things I really enjoyed about this Sixers Raptors playoff series is that it got back to that 90s style of grind, let them play, physicality, you know, very Eastern Conference kind of 90s Miami versus New York Knicks kind of style. And, you know, a lot of people love that kind of style. A lot of people love 80s and 90s basketball, and we want to see more of that kind of come back. And I think that the way that the league is trending at this point, it's starting to come back that way. That we had these prima donna superstar kind of mentalities that want the easy way, go to other teams, hook up with their friends, and try and get easy championships. But now we're seeing more guys like Giannis, more guys like Joel that are going to stick with their teams and not just fly the coop for the Lakers in 5 years or some bullshit like that. And that's important because that makes the league have more parity, that has more entertainment value for everybody. And more people want to tune in and watch it if they actually believe that their team has a chance. The NFL's done a way better job with parity over the last 10 years than basketball. And that your team, there's so many different teams. It's so unclear who could win a Super Bowl any year in and year out. And there's enough contenders that so many different fan bases can be engaged and really enjoy watching the season because they feel like they have a chance. Well, there were a couple of years in the middle of the 2010s where it was just Golden State. Well, Golden State's going to fucking win. Golden State's going to win. And who the fuck cares? Or who wants to watch that? Or LeBron is every time is in the finals. Who the fuck wants to see that over and over again? It's like watching the same fucking rerun of Frasier over and over again. You never watch the next fucking episode. You just watch that same fucking one with Niles and that bullshit. And then you don't watch the fucking next episode. It's the same shit. People want variety. People want to see different teams get better. They want different teams to be able to compete. And that's why this kind of stuff is all good developments for the NBA in the current game. And I think we're getting more back to a team-oriented style that will be more reminiscent of the 80s and 90s. The stuff that Freedom of Speech is talking about that he loves and the stuff that I love too. And I love it. And I think that the Raptors are that kind of style of a team, is we're more team-oriented and we're very physical. And that's just part of it. We're starting to show the trend ourselves. Jimmy Pupson, I went to game 6. The first half was good, but that second half ruined us. Yeah, there's a lot of talking about how fucking bad the fans are in the lower bowl for not being in their seats after halftime. Like they're having cocktail hour. You got to understand the geography of the Scotiabank Arena, that those little exit ways, they don't go out to the regular concourse. They go to a little private lounge where there's a bartender where these motherfuckers can sip drinks as they wish. And like, you know, they're not coming back from halftime. Maybe they're hanging out and having an extra couple or something like that. And everybody's saying, oh, the problem is the concession lines are too long. People can't get it all done. Well, there's a couple of factors in this. The NBA halftime was shortened like in the last 10 years. It used to be that you got a good solid 15 to 20 minutes in halftime. But they're trying to shorten the games overall from being like almost 3 hours, 2.5 hours to 2 hours. And one of the cuts in time they did was the halftime. They said, instead of our halftime being 15 to 20 minutes for every game, we're going to cut it down to like 10 to 12 minutes. And people weren't ready for that. People weren't ready for the not being able to get the concessions and get all the things they like to do done at halftime, especially when everybody goes all at once. The way I used to do it was I'd go a little early in the second quarter before everybody else, get that shit done, and then get back to my seat. I talked about maybe one of the things they could do is get Herbie to do a PA announcement saying 5 minutes till third quarter, and then maybe have a 5 minute warning. Then everybody can fucking get back to their seats then. But this has been a chronic problem for the Toronto Raptors franchise that our fans don't get back in their fucking seats after halftime because they're busy. And a lot of them are the rich people that are down there in the back with the martini, in the back in the private lounge. It's not the normal concessions people upstairs. Even if people aren't back in their seats up on the 300 level for halftime, it's not as bad because you don't see it visually. And there's a lot of people that do that up there. But the people down low, no, you can't do that because it really hurts our ability to get good energy after the half. And that's why the Raptors come out flat after halftime all the time, is because they come out and there's a bunch of empty seats and shit like that. And this has chronically been a problem for like 20 years with the Raptors and stuff like that. So I really hate that aspect. And I don't know what the easy fix or what kind of fix it is. Maybe it is the Herbie PA announcement saying 5 minutes till third quarter, 5 minutes, and then a two minutes till the third quarter. He's doing the 2 minutes till the end of the half or the end of the quarter. Why can't he fucking do that for halftime? It could be very helpful, and it may actually be something that actually works. And the other thing is, I don't understand why everybody has to get up anyway. I love sitting in my seat during halftime and just watching the whole fucking game as it's like a movie. A movie is 2 hours. You can sit in your fucking seat for 2 hours just like you do at the movies. So that's what I'm saying. Nobody needs to get up and go anywhere anyway. And a lot of times they have in-seat service where they'll come to you and give you what you want anyway. So there's got to be solutions to this, because this is very much a signature trademark thing about Raptors lower bowl fans after the half. And it's like it's an important problem. It's something that could be fixed easily in some ways, hopefully, and be better in the future and stuff like that. Yeah. Black Spawns here. Did Embiid apologize for his first game against TO, taking out 3 of our players, throwing elbows? Let me get back. I just jumped. It just jumped on me. And right in the middle of reading it. Boo. Throwing the elbows and stepping on ankles. Yeah, no, I don't remember him apologizing for hurting anybody. No, and that's not totally necessary. Listen, we're a bigger person. Pascal is being a bigger person in a lot of ways in this situation. In fact, I will bet you money he has reached out to him since the development of finding out the extent of the injury at this point. That I'll bet you he has reached out directly to Joel and told him he absolutely feels absolutely horrible about what happened, him personally. Nobody wants this to happen. Pascal is number one that he didn't want this to happen. Callie saying freedom, thanks for being here. Yeah, we do appreciate somebody coming in here. And listen, you got to get your in. That's fine. We got to be fair and just try and meet in the middle and stuff like that. Seymour saying that Black Spawn check mark. Yeah. Freedom saying Embiid has been hurt like almost every playoffs, whether it's a tummy ache, a knee thing, a face thing, or Mark Gasol schooling him. It's always something. So I'm used to it. See, this guy is like, you know what? This guy in his own life, in his everyday life, he's the kind of guy that doesn't make excuses. He says he just goes and gets shit done. And that's the thing. I admire that in a person. It's like he's not making excuses. He's saying that this is just how it is, and this is the terrain, and we need to go forward and try and do the best we can anyway. And this is the attitude the Sixers need to have at this point, because they can't fucking change this. This is irrevocable. It is what it is. And now they got to go forward with what they have and see the best that they can do. Who knows? Maybe DeAndre Jordan can show up and do something at this point. But he hasn't been fully integrated into their system, and he didn't play at all against us. So it's kind of like, I don't know how much he's meshing with the Sixers as a whole, because he's a newer addition like James Harden. But he could be that kind of guy that can kind of come and help them. He's washed for an offensive player, but he's pretty good defensively and can probably do some of the rebounding and defense stuff that Joel would have done for them otherwise. But it may be that you guys want to play a small ball kind of matchup against them, with Bam being the biggest guy out on the court, because they don't really have a center either. That on the download, the Miami Heat are a short team. Like their tallest player is 6'9". I think Yurt 7 is maybe a little taller, but he's a rookie, and who gives a shit about him anyway? So it's like, that's what I'm saying. You guys may be playing small ball anyway, and that Joel was going to be the only big guy out there, because I don't even really count Bam Adebayo as a center. He's really a power forward playing center. He's kind of like our guys. He's like a big guy like that. All right, let's see. So yeah, I like what freedom of speech is saying here. Really, honestly, Callie's saying that is such a class act, very professional. Loved having him here. Yeah, you're all right. Here's some appreciation for Thad Young. He had an excellent exit interview. He talked about, his decision for this summer as far as being a free agent. He's going to take his family into account first. Most important thing to him is his family, his sons, and his wife, and what there is best for them. And then he did say, secondly, he's going to take into account our team and our team's needs and what we want. And he's going into his 16th year as an NBA player. He knows that the sands and the hourglass may not have many more coming through, and that he needs to this summer see how he feels, play and see how he feels, and then they'll make the decision that way. But I really think that it was very fruitful having him on our team, that he fits a scheme that we really want to do. And he's also a very important thing that we lack on our team. And that's like a lot of veteran experience. His years in the NBA have been so valuable in the time since the trade deadline when we got him. He did exactly what we hoped Tragic would do, but he did it way better. He connected with the players and became a real mentor, a real leader, a real contributor to helping our young guys learn. And I know Goran was doing some of that at the beginning of the season, but fuck him. He did not. He left. It's like kind of like, your mom's single and you live with her still, and she dates different guys, and the guy comes over and dates for a little while and gets to know you, and you think he's pretty cool, and then all of a sudden he's just fucking gone and he's disappeared, and you're like, where the fuck did he go? And in your mom, it's sad. Your mom's bringing somebody around and you get attached to them, and then all of a sudden they just cut out on your mom. Is that kind of thing with Goran and shit. And I love that. That's great. I think that we should pay him. I want to pay him less than he made this year, though. I think that his contract that he was on is kind of stacked towards where he was at that time. And that maybe if we could get him for like a mid-level exception or maybe less, like that would be fine. And that would be up to him whether it's worth him playing or not. Because I fucking do not want to pay him $16 million for next year. Anywhere near like that, like he did this year. And he needs to get a comparable pay to where he is at the point he's in his career and stuff like that. So that's what I'll say about that whole situation. And hopefully that lines up, and hopefully he does see a real value and a fun of staying with this team. And, because we don't want to invest too much money into him as a free agent this summer. That's what I'm saying. I hope we can pay him less. Maybe 10 million is good for him for playing for us for a year. I don't know. We'll see. All right, let's see. Tom Duke saying, "Freedom, you're good stuff. Good luck, dude. Good stuff, man." Yeah, see, look at this, man. We're bringing the bond. This is like that. That's the city of brotherly love that we just played, and there are people there that truly believe in that. And like the man's name is freedom of speech. This is an American person. This is a very American feeling, like American rights and American ideals and stuff like that. And that's what we're saying. City of brother love. City of everybody is all treated equal and created equal. And that's what the U.S. is all about. The ideology of the U.S. is fantastic and is a great leader for the rest of the world. It's just that we need to not just talk the talk. We need to walk the walk and be that idea of what the U.S. should be. And that's the biggest problem with the U.S. right now, is that they've gotten too far away from the ideals and the things that makes the United States great. That there's too much division, there's too much turning on each other, and there's too much awfulness in certain ways. And I love that this dude has come in here with such a great name, and that that's what I'm saying. That that city, Philadelphia, is so American and is so like has the DNA of it, of people like Ben Franklin and people like that were so important to the history and shaping of the country. And that he is embodying the American spirit and the American ideals of no excuses. You put in the work, and all these kind of things. It's very important. All right, let's see. Rasta Ute here. Happy to see Rasta Ute. Wagwan fam. Yes, man. Yes. All right, let's see. Jimmy Pope saying Pascal accidentally hit him. All those intentional elbows, crybaby, threw at our team serves him right. Never wish injuries on some, but it was not intentional. Jimmy, I don't disagree with you. I think that, some things that happened on the court in this series were very intentional and they were bad. And that's all I'll say about this. But yeah, listen, this is kind of the similar kind of like going around with this and stuff like that. Like, it's really going to be from side to side how we view different things. Sixers fans going to see it a certain way. Raptor fans going to see it a certain way. And then that's why I really love hearing general NBA fan chime in and say what they want to say about it and how they look at it. Because we need an impartial person in some degrees, because we're going to be completely partial our way. And obviously, Philadelphia people are going to be completely partial their way for the most part, too. So freedom of speech is appreciating Tom. Tom Duke is one of the best ones here. He's one of my number one guys here. Really good dude. Seymour saying what up to Rasta Youth. Jimmy Pope saying those FMB chants were loud. Yeah, that's one of the other things that Philly fans really upset about. Us saying FMB over and over again, stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, our fan nation came strong and did a good job in a lot of ways. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that particular chant. But hey, once again, it's Raptor Nation. I got to support my nation, and my nation's doing that. Hey, I don't necessarily, because it's profanity, and there's little kids at the game and stuff like that. There's no reason to be yelling that. Maybe these little kids don't need to learn to yell "fucking B" at the game over and over again. Now, I mark my thing. This is not for kids, so my stream does not get presented to any children underage here. This is an adult space. That's why I cuss and I can say whatever the fuck I want. But in the arena, there are rules about profanity, and they're saying that if somebody's being cussing too loud or shooting birds or being profane, that they can escort them out of the building. But once again, I'm going to say, in our friend, I love his name, freedom of speech. I agree with freedom of speech. That people want to say fucking B, they should be allowed to. If Joel Embiid wants to do a golf clap at the end of the game, he should be allowed to. Joel Embiid wants to do the playing, he should be allowed to. Freedom of speech. But also remember, freedom of speech does not mean freedom from repercussions for what you said. And that's the difference. You can have freedom of speech, but if you say something fucked up, you may have repercussions. Jack Armstrong, when you say you get what you deserve. Now, see, he's getting repercussions for that. And that's Raptor fan talking about our own beloved Jack and saying, Jack, now you're getting repercussions for saying that. All right, let's see what freedom of speech is saying. Social media is allowed for people to feel emboldened to say whatever they want. Best to ignore it, honestly. I agree with this too. It's like Mike Tyson said, it's gotten people so easy and comfortable to say things they never fucking say to people's faces. It's like the thing that happened with Mike Tyson on the plane recently is a great example of this. Is that kind of mentality. It's like people can think they can fucking just talk shit to people like that. No, motherfucker, you can get a Mike Tyson haymaker to the face on a plane. Yeah, and that motherfucker deserved it. It's like, if your mouth is going to pay checks or write checks, you better be able to cash them back. When you get the repercussions coming the back the other way. Man, this dude is really cut the same cloth as me here, freedom of speech, because it seems like he has a lot of the same kind of things as me, as far as like, just ignore the noise. It's unnecessary. In fact, when you give a spotlight to it or you give attention to it, you verify it. You put it actually more, make it more feel like it's heard and stuff like that. Sometimes it's just best to ignore it because it's just stupid and there's no point to it. Blue City saying, I'm a diehard Sixers fan and I would never do death threats on any NBA players. Yeah, and that's a common thread that both you and I have for sure. Yeah, it's just bad. It's just a bad look in all kinds of ways and stuff like that. And once again, we understand that, like with any group in the world, there's different apples and oranges and different people that are all the same. And no people are not all the same. People are different. And there's individuals in each entity that are different in different ways. Gerald Benson saying, so he gets blamed for taking an elbow to the face. I'm not blaming him for taking an elbow to the face. I'm blaming him for setting the tone of the series with an unnecessary physicality that was dirty and goonish. And I'm just saying that, like, listen, this is like, we're going to play in that kind of environment, people are going to get hurt. And some of our guys got hurt, and now some of y'all's have gotten hurt. And that's just how it is. Gerald, I'm sorry, man. I'm not happy that Joel Embiid is not going to be able to play on Monday night against the Miami Heat. I wanted him to play against them because I wanted to see the best possible matchup on Monday night. And none of us are celebrating this. You guys can think we're celebrating this because you think we cheered when that happened, but we don't know that he fucking fractured his orbital bone at that time. Nobody knows this shit. And then when you hear about it, we feel just as bad as y'all. We're like, fuck, this sucks. We don't want to see people get hurt. That's the way it is. That's the truth of it right there. Seymour Pape saying, if anyone comes up north looking for Pascal, you ain't going back across the border. Trust me. Well, us Toronto people, we got it on this side with Fort York, but I know Tom's holding it down on the West Coast. Nobody coming to either side or anything like that. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Seymour Pape will be watching out too, I'm sure. Yeah. But yeah, listen, Pascal's not even in the country at this point. I bet you right now he's already is practically probably in Cancun, or maybe who knows where he went. He may have gone already over to where he's going to start doing his summer workouts with Earl Watson and Rico Hines camp. He might be over there. Oh, maybe I shouldn't be telling Philly fan to where to go look for Pascal and stuff like that. But honestly, I mean, seriously, there's deranged people doing crazy things in Washington, like doing fucked up shit. Deranged people doing fucked up shit on New York subways and stuff like that. We need to seriously watch out for mental health and people that may actually make more than just a death threat, a reality. And I hate that we have to say that in today's day and age, but there's that much mental health problems in this world that people will get so detached from reality, they will make a poor choice, and an absolute tragedy could happen. And that's the thing that I hate. And I don't want it to proliferate or go even further just because when people say this, that's not good because it sets the tone. It influences people. And then fucking stupid things like Mark David Chapman happen or some shit like that. Somebody dies because they fucking hear voices in their head and they think that they're doing a just cause for a higher power or some shit like that. That's what I'm saying. This is bad shit. And I love Blue City saying he's not mad. He understands the whole animal of it and stuff like that. Once again, respect. And listen, we want the Sixers to be healthy for the best series against Miami as possible. Freedom of Speech is saying, Jimmy Pope, I thought that it was great. Laugh out loud. The real championship caliber players can just use it as motivation and overcome. That's what I missed so much in the bubble, was that kind of atmosphere. Yeah, this is true. They use it as motivation. They use it like I know Pascal was motivated at different times during this series from different things, whether it's our fan base telling him to get it off his ass and not have a scoreless fourth quarter again, or just the physicality, getting hit in the face himself personally. He's like, oh, it's going to be like this. I'm going to have to play a little bit more tougher, a little bit more physical. I'm going to have to be a little bit more stronger. The thing about Pascal is at the beginning of the season, he was hurt. He missed our first month or so, and it really hurt our record. We were a below 500 team. And then he eased back into the season. And then he's pretty much been healthy this whole rest of the season since. And he's been playing like 40 plus minutes every single game. He's a high workload kind of guy. You have to admire how he did not tire out by the end of the series. He did not get beat down or go away. He continued to play healthy and strong and didn't look exhausted. That is the work he put in the season as far as like endurance and just playing a ton of a ton of minutes every single game. He played so much. And that's part of why this all happened this way and stuff like that. Yeah. All right. Jimmy saying at Freedom, it's all love at the end of the day. See, this, man. Holy crap. We are like a summit for peace. We're like bringing the realness of brotherly love out with Philly fan nation right now here and stuff like that. Callie saying, well, we can see that it's not all Philly fans. Some of our fan base is pretty toxic too. Yeah, this is the truth. Like we have guys that are going out there and they're going back with the sharp pointed sticks back at them on the social media right now. And it's not totally a good look because in some ways we need to just shut up. We're done. We're done for the season. He's actually exactly right. We're sitting on the couch. So we're actually dead in some ways. This is why I don't like hearing from Laker Nation at this point. Any team that's done for the year, we should actually just shut up for the rest of the year and let the teams that are still playing, they can talk the trash and figure all that kind of stuff out. Now, you got to defend yourself against a Sixer fan who's coming at you. I understand. But any Raptor fan who's going out there and looking for conflict with Sixer fan over what's happened last night, just don't do it. Please. It's all you're doing is adding more to the noise, the pile, the bullshit, and the toxicity. So let's just be like, I'm not saying let's be better people or anything like that, but let's just individually just try and make better decisions as far as not making this go further and further. Tom, you keep taking away messages right before I say something, but it's all right. Tom's saying Lexi lays the law down and insists on a positive environment. I do insist on this. I do, because like, listen, if we're not working towards something good for everybody in whatever way, whether it's in sports, the Raptors, or whatever, talking about Sixers Nation, I'm just talking about the world in general. Because there's so many forces out there that are telling us to hate each other for whatever different reasons. And if we can find more that we unite and have in common, that's better. And that's what I'm saying. That's what's going to save the world. Because that's what keeps these fucking really rich motherfuckers keeps us controlled by keeping us at each other. And the moment that we all fucking realize how much we have in common and that they're the problem, then they have a problem. And that's why they want us at our throats, each other. Is because that's how they control us, whether it's by race, whether it's by class, whether it's by whatever dividing line that they try and put us against each other. That is how their secret is to keep us controlled. And the more that we understand that we have way more in common than Elon Musk does with us, the better off we'll be. And that we need to all kind of get together. And we may need to do this sooner than later, like band together as the normal, working, common people in this world against fucking oligarchs and very super rich people that are fucking running our world, our countries into the ground. And that's what I'm saying. So don't take the bait of hating each other. We are not the enemies. If your tax bracket is the same as mine, I'm not an enemy of yours. I don't care what difference they say we have or why we should hate each other. And that's what I'll say. We're getting a little bit into sociology stuff today, but that's fine. But I think it's really important. And if we have an audience of Philadelphia people here right now, also, this is great because we can understand this better and understand how they try and control and manipulate us, the powers that be, by keeping us apart. And that's what it is right there. Oh, yeah. Andrew's saying, I appreciate Scotty. I appreciate Gary. I appreciate Precious for taking huge leaps so early in their career. They could each be most improved player next season. I love this. We're getting back to the original thing about this stream. This is the Saturday Share Love Club, and we're sharing the love we have for the team as a collective. And Andrew, specifically is saying he appreciates Scotty, Gary, and Precious for the leaps and bounds that they were made in their games. When Gary was talking yesterday in his exit interview, he's talking about the idea of the prospect of Scotty Barnes working out this whole summer, working on his game, improving his game, and who he could be when he comes back. Now, Fred's talking about it also in his interview, and he said something really smart. He said he's a young player, so I have no expectations for what he does come back with, but I think it's pretty likely that this man's going to come back improved and have a whole other aspect to his game. And when you hear Scotty and what he's saying, yeah, he's all about that. Like, it's come out in the last day or so. Mark J. Spears put out an article about Scotty that showed him on his phone, on his lock screen, he had all the goals he had for this year. And one of them was win Rookie of the Year. He said win as much as possible was on there also. And that's the thing. At the end of the game 6 on Thursday night, Scotty was nowhere to be found in that thank you hug and like saying hey, goodbye to the season. He ran right off the court because he was so mad we lost. That is the kind of competitor he is. He is pissed off that we lost by such a big margin in game 6. He's embarrassed by it, honestly. And I love hearing that because as a young player, I understanding that that's his character, that winning matters that much to him, that he was upset with the game, that he couldn't be out there still. And some may say that's poor sportsmanship, but I think that that is just the pure desire that he really wants to win at all costs. And that's an amazing thing. So Fred's saying, even though Scotty's going to take this offseason to get better and better and better, there's no pressure on him, that he doesn't want to put pressure on him to have to make a leap and a bound too much, that we should all temper our expectations and allow him to grow at the pace that he is going to grow at naturally. And that's really important for us to look at with him. We can't just all expect this to happen for sure next year. Now, I have certain ideas about what's going to happen with Scotty Barnes next year for sure. But I'm not going to expect them for sure. But there are things that I think will happen for sure also. But yeah, I think that they could win most improved player of the year. But probably not because the Raptors don't get looked at for that award very often. I know Siakam got it one year and that was fantastic. But for the most part, they're not going to give us that much attention. Now, I did say, what if Scotty Barnes wins Rookie of the Year his first year, and then next year he comes off the bench and he wins Sixth Man of the Year next year, and then he does something, he comes back into the starting lineup his third year, and then he's just a bona fide all-star for sure then, and he wins Most Improved Player of the Year. I want him to win like a big award every season and do something like that in the NBA that's never been done before, because that's a really good way to be great, number 4, is to try and win collective awards each year. And if you come off the bench next year and you're a badass six man and they give you Sixth Man of the Year, that'd be very interesting. But he could win Most Improved next year instead. But yeah, I appreciate all these guys for working hard on their game, showing new elements to their game, and not being afraid to dare to try new things. Precious Achua, fantastic stuff. He's talking in his interview after he had not slept yesterday when he did his exit interview. Precious, he was actually really loopy and kind of funny in his interview. Go watch it, it's hilarious. He cracks up because Michael Grange started coughing or something like that, and he started laughing, like you could tell he hadn't slept, like he's real woo and stuff like that. But he was talking about OG, And when they're in practice and stuff like that, and he's telling them, you do whatever you want, try that. And he's like, okay. And he felt like when he got to the Raptors, they were like very open about him doing whatever the fuck he wanted to. And he loved it. He absolutely loved it. It's very stark difference from Miami and Eric Spoelstra and how he kept Precious's game in a box and really wanted him very clearly in a role and only doing certain things. Whereas Nick Nurse and the guys were like, OG's like, well, why don't you try this? And then like, and Precious like, okay. And he got into it and he would go try it. And then all of a sudden he's finding success. And that's really what allowed for this improvement with these guys is opening their mind to the possibilities and allowing them the space and the ways to try it out and do it. And that's why there's huge bounds. I mean, Scotty was going to have huge bounds, leaps and bounds, no matter what, just because he's learning the NBA game and the level of the NBA. But for Precious, being on released from the box that he was in Miami, huge development. And then Gary, him realizing that he is a two-way player, that he isn't just a scorer, he's an offensive player in Portland, that all of a sudden you do have defensive chops and that you are a very good defensive player. So I appreciate all this also, Andrew, and I thank you for getting back on the share the love train, show the love train. As Gary Trent Jr. said, we just got to show the love. Raymond Jacobs saying a big note. As soon as Raps down 20 in the third, I was like, I ain't stepping 1 foot in Sixers territory. Reading anything in Sixers Nation after game 6 will make your head explode. I'm still keeping out. That's funny. Okay, so you're keeping out now. You were just after the game 5. You wanted to see the tears from then. And you're like, nope, not going over there and seeing that stuff. I went over there myself. That's what I've been doing since all these developments. I went over there after we lost and I wanted to see how much shit talking they're talking and stuff like that. And then I also went over there last night after the news of Joel Embiid's injury because I was just curious to see what they were saying and stuff like that. Yeah, it's pretty rough, and I don't recommend anybody doing it either. It's not worth it. It really isn't. You might find an impulse to write something and get involved in a thing that could just take you out of your mindset for the rest of the day and just piss you off. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. There's no reason to do it. It's like the baby may be crying over there, but there's no reason why you need to give it the bottle because it's not your baby. So don't give that baby that bottle because it's not your baby. Just let the baby cry. Seymour Pape saying, I've hated Philly since 92 World Series. No love for rivals. I'm sorry, not sorry. Raptors Awards, Team MVP, Team Defensive Player of the Year, Most Improved. I love this. This is a great statement. He's doing two things here. Yeah, that Philadelphia Phillies versus the Blue Jays in the World Series. That was something else back then. That was a long time ago. Really crazy. But yeah, you know what? I once again, listen, everybody's their own way with different things. I'm trying to be a olive branch guy right now in some ways. But any of our fans that want to be really diehard down the line, this is my way. I feel this way. I will not dissuade you. All right. As far as my awards for this year, we'll do it officially because Seymour said this. These are my awards for this year. Team MVP. I'm going to have to say the most valuable player on the Raptors this year for different reasons and different things is probably OG Anunoby. And I know that may sound really crazy, but the stats don't lie. When OG was in our lineup, we saw a huge boost in our winning percentage. And when he was out, it really hurt us. And sometimes you really find out how much somebody is valuable by how much you see them be missing. And OG missed probably half the season. And that really hurt us in a lot of ways. I kind of wonder how much more wins we would have had if OG had been completely injury-free this season and had been there for most games. Because in some ways, I really do feel like he is our most valuable player because he's that glue guy, he's that defensive tone, and he's all kinds of different ways. So that may surprise some people. But I think that the award most valuable player doesn't necessarily go to the best player on the team. It goes to the most valuable person that is necessary or helps you the most when he's in there. And I know Fred could be argued for this also. Pascal, obviously, also. We could talk about Scotty. But just to be a little different, I'm saying OG Anunoby was our team MVP this year, even though he didn't play. Team Defensive Player of the Year. Now, I'm not going to give that one to OG because OG kind of, didn't play enough. So I'm going to think about who was really our best defensive player over the course of the year. Well, in some ways, if I'm not going to give it to OG because he is kind of our best defensive player, like Pascal on the low key is actually a very underrated defensive player. But you know who I'm going to give this award to, actually? I'm going to give this to Precious because Precious actually rose up and showed that he can guard Joel Embiid and he can try and guard Tyrese Maxey. Much like OG Anunoby, he's a defensive player that has the skill to guard all 5 positions. And this is a great development for the Raptors because once again, Precious said, I want to be able to cut the water off on other guys just like OG does. So I'm going to give Team Defensive Player of the Year to Precious Achua this year. I know I'm going all off track, and people are like, "Whoa, Defensive Player of the Year, Precious Achua." Yeah, because he really showed some badass defensive stuff at different times during the year, and he did really help us with that stop look when we were in positionless and stuff like that. Most improved is a tough one because there's so many guys. And the one thing I will say for this award is I'm not going to give it to anybody who is in their first year with the Raptors. I'm only going to give it to somebody who was with the Raptors last year because I can only base it on Raptor stuff from last year. So no Scotty, no, I won't even count Gary in this because he was only on the team for a half season last year, and we know he could actually been in the running for most improved player in the whole league this year. But I'm going to tell you right now, the most improved player to me, and this is crazy because it's somebody who actually took a step down in their role, is Chris Boucher. The fact that Chris Boucher had to go to a crossroads at the beginning of the season with his role on this team and figuring out that, you know what, I don't like hustle plays. This is what he said this week. I hated hustle plays before, but now I realize I'm good at them and that it's valuable and that it may keep me in this league longer if I stylize my play more like a Dennis Rodman kind of role, a defensive rebounder and those kind of things. So in some ways, I think that Chris Boucher is the most improved player on the Raptors this season because he finally matured and realized who he really was and what he could do the best to help the team. And that in some ways, you see it in the last game, in game 6, the 25 points, so many rebounds, best player for the Raptors on the court on Thursday night. That is indicative of him really embracing his role fully because even though he got so many points, he still played within that new role. And that he is most improved because he went from a guy who's just trying to be another Kevin Durant, as his own words, and now he's actually a very valuable role player that fits into the system very well. So there you go. Team MVP, OG, Team Defensive Player of the Year, Precious, and Team Most Improved Player of the Year, Chris Boucher. Those are my personal choices. Now, all y'all may have different ones and different ideas about what I just said, but that's me personally. That's how I feel about it. Andrew saying, keep in mind, the Bad Apple fans who boo injuries are the ultra rich who can afford playoff tickets. Real working class fans wouldn't do that. No, I don't agree with that, Andrew. Actually, I think it is still the working class grunt kind of people. The ultra rich fans are quiet all around. They're just too above it all. They're just they're just sitting there. They're just bumps on a log. The people that are doing this stuff are average Joe kind of fans. They just are, and it's not bad or anything like that. But yeah, there may be some of the higher, richer fans that are like that also, but I would bet that most of them are not. Most of them are not. It's really more the other people. Dominique Brown's taking away the message. Write something else so I can talk to you. Paul B saying Scotty destroying the Celtics with a 25-13 performance in front of the NBA 75 legends was incredible. Yeah. Okay, you're talking about the game, one of the games earlier in the season. You're going through the memories of this season. Yeah. Scotty has had so many impressive different moments with different kinds of people in attendance and stuff like that. Once again, if we're doing an appreciation for the team as a whole, in general, I want to say thank you to Scotty. I appreciate you for bringing an enthusiasm and a love for the sport of basketball that is just undeniable in your character. All these exit interviews that you've had, you just talked about how your drive is that you just love basketball. You just love everything. In fact, Scotty, in his interview yesterday, was saying that the whole thing about this season he loves is he loves the scheduling. He loves the whole thing about he knows what's next. It's like he's very regimented as far as like his day with like we practice, we do this, we do this. Organization for some people and having everything very like laid out is very comfortable and very nice. I'm that kind of person. I love having things just kind of go to plan. And when you're in a system like the Raptors organization and you're going through their itinerary day to day, whether it's travel day, whether it's practice day, whether it's game day, it's very fun to him, that whole process. It's like you're getting to do something for your work that you earn money and you love. It's a passion. So you get that ultimate thing that everybody wants in their own lives, to make money doing something you love and enjoy. And he's doing that. And he really has a very raw, pure love for the sport of basketball. In fact, that's what he kept saying yesterday. Is I just love basketball. I just love going to show up to the court and hooping and playing. And I love being around my teammates and having that camaraderie and that family with the teammates and stuff like that. So Scotty's just thriving, and he's going to thrive in our organization because of the function of it. If he went to other teams like Orlando or Sacramento, he wouldn't get this kind of stuff. He would not be on the fast track to develop to be a huge big superstar. If he was on other teams, he'd have roadblocks, he'd have different things that would slow him down. And that's a great thing. And I love that too, as a person like him that loves structure, that loves a schedule, and that when you're doing something you really love, you love hitting all those little beats, whether they're the little insignificant ones. Maybe they're the ones that really hardworking NBA players do to put in the extra work to be that much better than other players. He loves all that stuff. And that apparently they've said also that in practice, he's trying to do his best in practice to get him better. And that in itself brings his teammates up because he's showing that fire and that desire and that pure love for basketball in those settings also. So, yeah, I love Scotty for so many reasons. And we'll probably talk about that game specifically, Paul B. On a Monday memory sometime. Freedom of Speech is having a good time laughing. Paul B saying missing the layups at the Rising Stars Challenge. Laugh out loud. All right, archivist Paul's listing a whole bunch of Scotty stuff. Yeah, when he missed those free throws, it looked real bad, and it has kind of given a Shaqtin' the Fool kind of clip for other fan nations that want to deride Scotty. He's going to have that out there, and even that stupid fucking basket him and Precious put in the basket in Game 5. That will be on a clip or something like that. And they may try and come at him in the ways like they come out at Pascal right now. And he needs to be ready for that in some ways and stuff like that. Right now, he's popular. Everybody loves him. He's young. He's new. He's cool. But he will gain animosity as time goes on from different places. And he needs to be ready to be tough in that way also. Because Pascal had to learn that. It's really tough in some ways. But yeah, that clip has already been shown. Like, that's actually what Cavs Nation it keeps putting up right now, arguing that this is the rookie of the year, and then they show him missing a bunch of layups at the Clorox Rising Stars. So it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, you're just showing something that doesn't even count or doesn't even matter. Go ahead and show some of his clips from the games and stuff like that. You'll see a very astute, very capable player that's doing great things on the court. Paul B. saying, Fred was so good in the first half of the season. He played the way I always dreamed he could. Rainbow threes for the lead every game, it felt like. Yeah, and we got to say this again. Fred would have been a factor in Game 6, at least in the third quarter when we had that lull. He's the guy who senses when our team is in trouble, and he makes sure he could put some more water in the bucket to make sure we keep on going. And he was absolutely could have bailed us out in that dead stretch where they were absolutely killing us and we couldn't get any points. Fred is that guy who steps up and hits a timely three or does something to get us scoring again. And that was really when we missed him the most, was in that third quarter stretch when Philadelphia busted that game open, when we had bad energy in the arena too. Tom Duke saying that pull-up three by Precious out of nowhere, that game was something that fun. Yeah, that was crazy in transition. He's like dribbling the ball down. That's hard to do because you're doing two things at once. You're stopping on a dime, and you're also trying to stop your inertia that's going down the court, full court, and then you have to come up straight to get a really good fundamental shot. You have to have your shoulders square and your feet straight, and that's really hard to do. Just the art of a transition three is really tough to do. Fred's really good at it. But it's really interesting to see Precious pull that off at that one point. And who knows, maybe this summer it's something he develops more and more into his game, and that maybe we will see some transition threes from Precious. I don't like them necessarily because they're not a good high percentage shot for the most part. They're okay for guards that really are good at them, like Fred or Gary. But for a big guy like him, I don't think it's something he should practice or try and do very often because I don't think it is actually a high percentage shot. He may have been just really lucky in that transition three that one time. But yeah, it was fun for sure. Andrew saying Joel angered the basketball gods with his hubris. Yeah, that's something I'm kind of alluding to in general. Like, if you believe in this kind of stuff, that I think Andrew's right, that Joel in some ways is angering the basketball gods and that this has been his lot in some ways because of that. Tom Duke saying 2 awesome things of this season were our 2 veteran all-stars, Fred VanVleet and Spicy P. Oh yeah, the leadership by them, the leadership roles that they had to grow into more, like Fred being the captain, the El Capitan. Now that Kyle's gone, he is definitely our captain. And then Pascal, more and more on his shoulders as far as pressure, being the go-to guy. Chris said this yesterday in his interview. He's like, I'm so impressed with Pascal from the season that he showed that he could go to a new level of who he is as the go-to guy on our team. And that Chris, when he played in that game in Cleveland with the half G League team and him and Svi and Yuta against Cleveland, got blown out, and he realized what being the go-to guy and how much tough and hard it is. That was an epiphany for him, realizing how hard it is to be a go-to guy on a team, a franchise player, night in, night out, and how much work it is, how much pressure, and all that kind of shit. And that was who Chris was giving flowers to in his interview, saying, "I'm so proud of Pascal for showing the growth in the things that he did and he went through this season and becoming who he is at the end of the season." So yeah, this is very true. Both of our leaders are going to get their own individual Saturday share love weekends. We're going to do individual players and people on the team each Saturday going forward. Like next week, I think we'll do Scotty. I was going to do Scotty today, but I said, you know what? This is team first. We got to do the whole team first. But next Saturday, it'll be Saturday Appreciation Day for Scotty. Show the love for Scotty. Share the love for Scotty, just like he shares all the love with his hugging on all the other people and stuff like that. And I also, one more aside thing about Scotty and the Rookie of the Year award and how it went down and how Fred brought him the tissues and he was showing emotion that day. Never be ashamed to show emotion. Some people are trying to bring him down for this or saying he's soft and shit like that. No, that's an amazing thing that he did. And this is part of the toxic masculinity in society that's so fucked up. Men should be able to show emotion. Men should be able to cry. There's nothing wrong with that. And that anybody who's coming down on Scotty or making fun of him for crying after that or having to get tissues, fuck you. Because listen, you're part of the problem that is continuing to cause wars in this world and conflict. Is that men can't healthily put out their emotions or feelings or expose or express them, then they fucking get all pent up like a steam pressure cooker, and then they fucking boil over, and then somebody's hurt on the floor because there's like fighting or something like that. That's what I'm saying. Emotion's a natural thing. We're all human beings and we have it. So let's stop stigmatizing men for being sensitive or showing emotion. And that's why I don't like some of the things that people have said about Scotty crying when he got the Rookie of the Year. Those are tears of joy, tears of I accomplished something that I set out to get, and it's finally here. That kind of stuff. And yeah, all right, there we go. That's a little bit about that. Let's see. I'll keep going. Let's see. I appreciate Fred saying that 20 points per game isn't a good game for him anymore. You know what he's saying that? He's saying that because of his status elevated to all-star. But what he also said in his exit interview yesterday, very interesting, is he's got to go back to the drawing board about his role and how it fits in the team to allow for the Raptors to be the highest chance possible for winning. That all these people that think Fred VanVleet is such a selfish captain that because they think that he doesn't pass the ball enough when he's playing or he hurts the offense and stuff like that, they don't realize how unselfish he is. That this man is gone and he's gotten his first All-Star this year, but I'll bet you money right now he's willing to take a step back and allow for the younger players on our team to grow next season and take more of the sharing load of the scoring load and the responsibilities as leadership on the team. And that we may be like, even though he said that the 20 is not good enough for him, well, maybe it is. Because listen, we need to start looking at Fred VanVleet like we look at Lowry. Like he was a guy that didn't have to score a whole bunch of points, but as long as he was helping the team do anything they could to win, that's all that matters. And that we may need to be ready for Fred to have lower stats next season as other young players on our team emerge and take more of the burden. And that's the thing I love about Fred. He says he's willing to be malleable and switch and change to whatever role absolutely is the best role for the Raptors to win. Because he said this is the most important thing Fred said yesterday is he wants to be known as a champion. He wants to be known as a champion. Those are his own words. And he's already a champion. But you know what that means? That means he wants more Larry O'Brien's. He wants to win more championships so that he's known as a champion kind of player in the NBA history. And that's why he's going to be successful, is because that's his goal. He don't give a shit about being an all-star. He doesn't give a shit about his stats. Ultimately, he is a team player and he wants his team to be the best version it is, whether it's him taking a back seat in some ways or him stepping up in some ways. Whatever it takes, he'll do it. And that's what I love about him so much. I love that so much about Fred. And you took it that way when he said that, but I took it this way also. That, you know what? It's not going to matter how much he's scoring. He just needs to continue to do the winning stuff to help us get to the win, no matter what it is, whether it's him taking a back seat to Scotty or whatever it is, him stepping up and getting like a 40 to 50 point game. Paul B saying, hell yes, Tom. The transition three on Sixers made it a 10-point game. One of my favorite moments of the season. If you had it in spring training, a transition three from Precious Achua. Yeah, I don't think anybody would have expected any threes from Precious this season going in with his scouting report. When I looked at him when he's coming in, I was like, okay, this will be a good rebounder, a good defensive presence on the court. He's got some different things. And then, whoa, every single month, it seemed like there was a new little thing about him that I didn't realize. Like, oh, he's got handles. Oh, okay, he can shoot a three. Oh, okay, he can drive to the basket. It's like, and now he's got a crossover. I'm like, holy shit, this guy has so much more than we realized before he came here. And I had no idea the player that he is, and that he could possibly grow into. And now I really realize it's crazy. It's crazy. Tom Duke's been giggling. Daisy saying, report every single loser uttering death threats. Yeah, I think that that's right, Daisy. I think that, Tinder, I'm not Tinder, Twitter and different social media apps and stuff like that have a function to report these kind of things. So, hey, I'm not against that. I think that that's right, the right move, Daisy. I think you're exactly right. All right, freedom of speech is saying, hey, it's time for James Harden to prove the doubters wrong, and Maxey and Harris need to help try to fill the void. No quitting over here. Mavs really stepped up without Luca, so Sixers got to do the same. Yeah, that's the same thing. We didn't have Fred, we didn't have Scotty for a couple games, and we just had to step up. Next man mentality, and I think you're right. This is James. This is a really good opportunity for James because he's been maligned in so many different ways. Now, if he really wants to show wisdom in his old age and not be run out of Sixers Nation, Philadelphia, then you know what, James? Show up and do exactly who you are. You're the team player, James. You're not worried about your individual game. Then do what you did in game 6. Take over when you need it or needed to, but also allow for the team game and switch back and forth from that. That could be very helpful for your team to win in the next series. But it is probably going to be where you're going to have to lean on the former more than the latter. And that means you have to take the scoring burden. You have to be aggressive. You have to go to the basket and dunk it like you did in the first quarter against the Raptors on Thursday night. You're going to have to be that guy, at least to jumpstart your team. And then maybe somebody else gets going, like Maxey ends up with almost 40 points and stuff like that. But you need to lead the way, James Harden, if the Sixers are going to have any success in these upcoming games without Joel. And freedom of speech. I love your attitude once again, man. You're. We found another great Sixers fan today, and that's fantastic. Honestly, keep following me, Freedom. I'm here every single morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. I'm talking Raptors every single day in the off season. Even I'll be doing stuff with the Raptors, reacting to whatever the news is, and just fun stuff like trivia and stuff like that. Any general NBA fans that just love the sport and stuff like that have found that this channel is very fun to watch, just because of that kind of old school mentality and stuff like that. So I appreciate what you're saying here, and I agree with you. James has got a golden opportunity here to really prove some things, maybe exercise some of his playoff demons from before of failure, and show something that himself, because if Joel's not there and he does something special and he gets you guys some wins in this series, then it will look real good on him for sure. Oh yeah, Daisy's saying Embiid has been hacking, pushing, and trying to injure our players all series. People cheered because we stood up to the bully. That's right. That's exactly right too. It's like everybody's going to see something in a different light depending on where your stance or your bias is from. And like, really, honestly, I was cheering for Pascal to stand up to them. That we don't want to be bullied by Joel Embiid, and that our guys standing up to them is really important. It's like in jail. If somebody's going to punk you, you better get back, or you're going to be fucking shat on and treated like shit by everyone. It's like you have to show that you need to be respected. And this is exactly that kind of case. And that was one of the question marks I had about our Raptors team. Are we soft? Do we need a Serge Ibaka? Do we need a Charles Oakley? And no, because we got different guys that are willing to step up and show toughness and face off punks like Bobby Portis Jr. and different people that have done punkish shit towards us this season. So yeah, I agree with this. People can mistake why people are cheering. There could be so many different reasons. It could be the dancing fan, the Raptors dancing fan. You know what I'm talking about? That guy who's always dancing. It could be that he's dancing over the corner. Everybody's cheering for him, but you see an injured player on the court, and that's not what they're looking at. That's what I'm saying. There's so much going on in an arena. Quit being so egocentric that we're just fucking always cheering or booing because of one certain person. Sure, sometimes it's very evident what it is. But sometimes it's not Kevin Durant's Achilles. It's Serge Ibaka on a fast break. And sometimes it's not Scotty Barnes getting his ankle stepped on. It's Fred VanVleet fouling out. And see, I can recognize it from the other way. So I don't understand why fucking Sixers fan can't understand from the other way why it's not us cheering. It's us just involved in the game, and maybe we're cheering for other things that are happening on the court, and stop being so egocentric that it's for the reasons that you have in your head, is what I'll say. All right, let's keep going. Paul B saying Thad dropping Embiid might have been one of the best highlights of the season. When did Thad drop him? I think it was always Pascal that was involved in most of the stuff with him. Freedom of Speech is saying rivalries are fun. I got nothing against Pascal at all. Stuff happens. See, this guy's very even keeled, and he's just right on. His rivalries are fun. Shit talking is fun to an extent. There's some fun stuff. It's like we've been saying soft Philly cheesesteak, and they're calling our guy a terrorist, and there's all kinds of back and forth and stuff like that. It is what it is. It's just part of it. Rooting and being passionate and loving your team. And somebody loves their team, then there's going to be a bow to a degree. But as long as it's healthy, it's not toxic, it's not violent or dangerous. There's nothing wrong with that. I agree with this. Rivalries can be very fun and very entertaining. Paul B saying Scotty's first shot with LeBron on him, and he backed him down and did that far push shot from past the free throw line was impressive. See, this is what I'm saying. Our rookie, when he played the Lakers earlier this season, LeBron was dirty. LeBron did dirty shit, like bounced the ball off him when he like threw the ball at him out of frustration and anger at his midsection, and he did a couple other punkish shits like that. Well, what's Scotty doing? Instead of him going and trying to hit back, he's making his game speak for himself. He's going and he's hitting shots over them back. Oh, you're going to do this. Well, this and this. Listen, as much as Sixer fans are wanting some get back on Pascal Siakam for next year, I'll bet you Scotty Barnes wants to get some get back on the Sixers for putting him out of the playoffs, for having him feel the sting of losing. And he really wanted to pull off history. He really wanted to come back and get this done today. That he wanted to be playing today and win Game 7 and have his team do something that never been done in the history. That's a great thing to write. And that's part of the reason why he was so upset after we didn't get the job done on Game 6. And part of it may be Scotty was a little bit frustrated with the overall effort of his teammates also. Because I'll tell you what, I didn't feel like our collective team effort on defense against the Sixers on Thursday night was adequate or even like close to being what we needed to win that game. And that made me upset and a little disappointed in them as a whole in some ways. But yeah, let your game speak for you. Don't let airplanes, don't let fucking like jeering or like get back with all kinds of other things. So it's saying that I'm unstable. All right, it just popped back. It just said my connection was unstable for a second, so I had to pause. All right, let's see. I actually grew respect for Harden. I did too. That's not something that I predicted for going into the season. I really thought he'd homer going in the bushes for this series. It's really funny. Funko made a homer going in the bushes Funko that's coming out. I really love that idea that Funko did that. They made the Homer Simpson going in the bushes meme as a Funko doll. Pretty funny. But yeah, I did grow a lot more respect for Harden, even in the last game. The way that he stepped up as a leader to save the Sixers against us was fantastic. Honestly, in a lot of ways, Sixer fan, you need to be thanking James Harden for closing us out and stopping possibly history being made. That him singularly, if I'm coming from the other side, I'll tell you right now, James Harden was the difference in the game on Thursday night that allowed y'all to win. That he showed up, he jump started y'all's car and got it going so that Maxey could jump in and drive behind the driver's seat a bit himself. And that if he hadn't shown that leadership right from the start in game 6, you guys might not have won that game. That he was absolutely essential to show up and be aggressive. Tom Duke saying, how about Delano nailing that long three for his first points? That's a great memory. So many great memories this season. And like just the fun of Delano Banton being Toronto man and all that kind of stuff. And what a crazy first shot for first points in the NBA. A half court shot was his first points in the NBA. Fantastic. Freedom of Speech is saying we all bleed the same, just wear different jerseys. Yes, yes. So many messages of this. And fuck, man, this is fantastic. You got the one Canadian team in the American NBA, and then you have the team that epitomizes Americana, the Philadelphia 76ers. They have all the American imagery in it, the black, the red, white, and blue, the Liberty Bell, all the different things about it. And their motto is the city of brotherly love. And now we have one of their fans coming in here, and we're doing peace talks here, and we're saying we all bleed the same. We just wear different jerseys. This is the damn truth. It's like, hey, Canada is very much the same as America in a lot of ways. We have a lot of the same problems, and we have a lot of the same great people also. And that's how we got to look at it, is really how it is. G saying Giannis goes up like that with his Euro step. You're talking about the Pascal move. That's what they're saying. Pascal's move is very Manu Ginobili Euro step kind of move and stuff like that. There wasn't anything like egregiously dirty about what Pascal did. It's just that contact was made and that it did turn out to be pretty bad. And that's too bad because we didn't want that to happen. Honestly, we didn't know until last night. They just found out. Yeah, but that's what he's saying. There's a lot of players that are running and doing different things when they're coming to the basket and stuff like that. Paul B saying Scotty had a new logo type of slam on the road at Clippers that deserves a second look. Thunderous. The Clippers game. All right. You know what, Paul? We might need to go over all the clips for the thing we're talking about for doing this summer, the best dunks from the Toronto Raptors season this year. You and I are going to have to do this. I'm going to have more time to be getting stuff produced for this station going forward. And you and I personally, we're going to have some one-on-one chat privately about what we can do and how I can see some of this stuff that you got and maybe how we can present it also. Freedom of Speech is saying that's so true, Raptor Freak. Some fan base accept mediocrity. Yeah, if I was Kings base right now, I would just be like, and just walk away. I mean, he's like Sacramento Kings, like look where they are and what those happened to them over the years and years over and over again. It's like walk away. I mean, you guys, a lot of your fans probably did do that to an extent because it's been a tough ride for y'all. Y'all have had really tough times, really bad seasons, all kinds of dysfunction, bad people involved in your franchise. So I can understand where a Sixer fan would just be like, fuck this shit. I'm done with it. I'm just going to go concentrate on the Phillies. Or I'm just going to go concentrate on the Flyers and stuff like that. I can see where y'all are, Eagles or whatever. But you know what? That is in itself is a respect right there that you have gone through the long haul of pain and misery and the tough, bad shit that's happened to the Sixers nation, and you stuck with them. That's a lot of respect from here because I'm with you. I've been a Raptor fan since 1994. I was a Raptor fan living in Florida when they were purple dinosaurs with Damon Stoudemire running around. Half the people around me didn't even think they were a real NBA team. They didn't even know that they were actually in the NBA at that time. They're like, what is that, World Football League? Like Barcelona Dragons, Toronto Raptors? Like, no, they're actually in the NBA. They play against the Lakers and Magic and Michael Jordan and the Bulls. They're like, no, they don't. They don't fucking play in the NBA. And then they see them in the highlights finally. They're like, oh, shit, the Toronto Raptors are actually in the NBA. So I completely understand the misery of 20-win seasons, of having dysfunctional management, of having star players fucking cut and run on you, all that kind of stuff. Because I've been here for the full ride of the Raptors history. Yeah, because I was 20 years old when they came out, and now I'm 46, 47. Yeah, so I've been here the whole time, and that's what I'm saying. It's hard to be a real, true fan and ride that bull of misery that comes with the success that's very fleeting. Also, the success is fleeting. The misery is always there in different ways and different times and stuff like that. So, yeah, much respect to a full-hearted fan that's invested and dedicated and isn't fair weather. That goes away, comes back, goes away, comes back. That kind of shit. Paul B saying, Tom, I was so pissed Goran passed Delano that half-court shot for his first bucket. Like, way to start the kid off with an 0-1, but he made it. So pumped the first Canadian drafted got that moment. It was an awesome moment. And that was what? In the first game. That was against the Wizards. In the very first game of the season, they won that game. It sucked. Freedom of speech is saying I was playing with the couch, just busting balls. Listen, man, listen. We let Sixer fan come in and it's when the whole conversation disintegrates into like, no, you're ugly, no, you're ugly, no, you're stupid, no, you're stupid, and it's just like not fruitful. We can talk a little shit as long as there's context and way that we can talk about it and make it constructive. It's just not like unrubber your glue, bounces off me, hits you kind of bullshit. That's what we don't like. And we'll throw wrenches at those kind of guys. They come in here and they're just kind of like trying to put us down or just kind of like shitting all over us and stuff like that. But yeah, it's all good, man. And like, listen, I told Random Gamer, who's another Philly fan who's been here regularly, that you have a license to talk a little shit if it's fair, because you've already shown yourself to be somebody's on the level as far as fairness, as far as things and stuff like that. You've admitted some things, but you've also said some things, and that's fine. I want you to be truly yourself, and you being truly yourself seems like it fits fine here. I mean, you go overboard and you start really insulting people, yeah, we'll probably rent you out. But you can talk a little bit of shit here. That's happened. And some of the people that come to this station want to see me talk shit back to somebody who's talking shit because they love to see me just cut a promo on somebody real quick. So that's part of it too. Tom Dick saying, me too, buddy. Yeah, we loved all this stuff. Didn't we, Tom? Didn't we, Paul? This is just fantastic. We have a 45 Rexdale bus player on our team now. And Tom Duke saying Goran getting dumped officially was a good day. That was a good day too. Yeah, when we finally traded Goran Dragic and got Thad Young, fantastic day. And the whole stuff with Goran since, with his fucking dumbass like laughing at us going out, like, oh my gosh. And even Sixers fans with us on this. Like, who the fuck are you, Goran, talking this shit? Come on, man. Paul B saying the Scotty dribble between the legs, step back three at the Nets to tie the game with 1 minute left was Scotty's best bucket of the year. Oh yeah, Paul. See, I'm sorry, man. I set you up for all this research about Paul, about Scotty B, because you thought this was going to be the subject today. I see that you did the research ahead, but this is great. We can still do this, and we will talk about it again also. Freedom of speech is saying Kobe torn Achilles, knocking down foul shots like a true OG. Yeah, Kobe Bryant would play hurt. All these guys in the history, these real ones that are hard, real players, they play hurt. They have no problem with doing shit when they're hurt. And I have to commend Joel. I don't think he's soft because he played hurt. That thumb did not feel good this whole series and stuff like that. And obviously, he's a tough guy that he can run around with a broken orbital bone for like 24 hours since it happened and, stuff like that. So I'm not saying he's soft himself, but, I'm maybe saying that like maybe you shouldn't instigate this kind of stuff so that maybe it doesn't boomerang and come back at you in some ways and stuff like that. G saying freedom of speech is an OG, you can tell. Yeah, you can tell he's OG. Like he knows his basketball, that's for sure. We'll say that. Jimmy Pope saying, how about Chris Paul 14-14 closeout game? Yeah, fantastic. The Suns did a good job finishing the Pelicans off and stuff like that. We're getting into the second round. It's going to be very interesting to see these final 8 teams play and different stuff. Very going to be interesting. Freedom of speech saying, I agree. These playoffs have really reminded me of real NBA ball. Huge breath of fresh air compared to the regular season. Respect to G. Yeah, I don't know if you follow Sean David, Basketball Time Machine. He hates the new era of the NBA, the superstar era. And he's actually watching the playoffs now. And he's actually saying, this is making me want to watch the NBA again. That this is a style of NBA that is attractive to old mentality kind of basketball fans. And that's great. Bring them back. There may be a bunch of them that left because they were just sick of the prima donnas and the softness of the league. And now we're getting back to the real stuff. And the real ones are coming back and saying, I can get behind this NBA because this is actually the stuff that I used to like to watch instead of this bullshit that we've had in the last 10 years. Jimmy Pope saying, it jumped again. Sorry, guys. The seats were pretty empty pretty much after halftime. Sucks to see the close ones at least. Got to get to your seats. Yeah. We talked about a couple of strategies to try and fix this. It's something we got to get better and better about. Freedom of speech calls them the wine and cheese crowd. So I'm sure that they've got them down at Wells Fargo also. The wine and cheese crowd. If we could have the right people in those seats, like our super fans, like the 6-man super fan for the Sixers and Nav Badia for us, the super fan for us, that would be the kind of fans I would like to have down there because they're real ones, and they have the right amount of money to be able to down there also. Instead of these like wine and cheese people, like he calls them. I'm going to steal that freedom of speech. I don't know. I call them hoity-toities or like corporate, just want to be seen. Half of these people come to the game just to do business with somebody. They may have somebody they want to sign a deal with, and they say, "Well, let's go to the Raptors game, and maybe I can encourage you to put your name on the dotted line with our company." Thorax. It's like whatever. It's some shit like that. They're fucking doing business deals and shit. They're not even watching the game at the time. Let's see. Paul B saying Scotty, 25 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds, 2 steals, 1 block, not allowing Jokic to score a single point in the fourth quarter in that hell of a performance versus a real MVP. And I won't read the rest of that because he's already hurt. There's no reason to put in insult to injury. Yeah, yeah, the performance against Denver and Jokic by the Raptors, and Scotty in particular was playing Jokic in that game. And anybody who comes from like Cab Nation or Piston Nation and say K was this or Evan Mobley was that, look, this kid was guarding Nikola Jokic in his rookie year and having success. So listen, that is amazing. And the fact that he's not scared to try and guard somebody like Joel Embiid also says a lot. And then he's also trying to guard James Harden. So come on, you guys got to open your eyes and understand that the stats that happened between Cade, sure, he had better stats, but listen, he was on the Pistons. And Evan Mobley, you got to understand the whole picture of what Scotty brought. Not only is it the stats, it's the intangibles. It's all the other stuff he did to help us win this season. And it may be that, the prognosticators at the beginning of the season didn't think the Raptors would be in the playoffs, but they didn't realize how special our rookie was and how much he would elevate us with all of his intangibles as a player. That may be part of the reason why we overachieved this year, is because the unknown of Scotty came in and filled in some of that void. And they need to realize that rookie's impact on making our team into a playoff team is what I'll say right now. All right, let's see. Paul B saying Scotty sending the Miami game to overtime with the most clutch free throws with no time left on the clock after the buzzer. Already sounded like they reviewed and he got fouled with the crowd booing. Yeah, that game, those free throws were so pressurized. And for a rookie to get out there and do that, and especially one that historically is not known as a good free throw shooter in some ways. He's not that good of a free throw shooter, but when he really tries hard, he makes them. And in that instance, he showed a high pressure situation against the Miami Heat in that game that put us into our first overtime, which made that game get even crazier and crazier as it went. But there would have been none of that if our rookie had not hit clutch free throws, both of them, to tie the game to go into overtime in that game. It's absolutely fantastic. And Paul B's talking also about Caleb Martin is still in my bad book after pushing Scotty into the crowd after the dunk. Yeah, me too, to a degree. And this is part of what's happening in the reverse against Pascal with Sixer Nation. Is maybe we do have a little animosity towards Caleb Martin because he possibly could have seriously injured Scotty Barnes with a reckless push into some lady holding a camera and a beer in her hands and stuff like that. So let's see. G saying Raps need a surge type that teams know it to even start. Putting our players whom are not like that in a situation isn't smart. I don't know. I think we had these guys. I think OG and Pascal and Precious and Chris Boucher are all tough guys. And that they have no problem doing a little bit of a surge impersonation, each one of them. That at times we saw OG stand up to Joel. He didn't back down. We saw Pascal do the same thing. These guys are doing the job that we worried about, that role being lacking on our team. I said, do we have a Serge Ibaka this year? We just need an enforcer. We just need somebody to make sure nobody's getting pushed around. Well, we do. And it's really a collective. Like those 4 guys that I named will come and they will be right there to help the other guy. And that's pretty good. Like if OG's in trouble with Joel Embiid, Precious is right there, standing next to OG, helping him in this situation. So I think we got some of the answers about the lack of an enforcer or physical kind of player in this series. In fact, this series was the perfect example or test for the Toronto Raptors to deal with a physicality like Joel Embiid. And that we showed that we can somewhat match up with it and battle with it. And that's a really good thing for our future. That makes me think we may get somebody kind of like that still as a center because of the needs we're talking about. But I don't think that we did need this because we had it all along. And then it showed in this playoff series. Raymond Jacobs saying, let's try and get madman Isaiah Stewart. I'd love to have Beef Stew on our team, but I don't know if that's realistic. He's very coveted by Pistons Nation, and I don't know where he is with his contracts and stuff like that. And once again, I don't want to give up any of our guys to go get anybody who's unknown on another team. That's why I shot down the Donovan Mitchell trade talk yesterday. It's like, listen, we don't know if Donovan Mitchell fit with our team, and I'm not going to trade him OG for him or something like that. No, you go with it's like the bird in the hand is two in the bush. We got a bird in the hand that's really good, and it's all our players. Then maybe those birds in those bushes aren't as good, and you don't want to break something that isn't broken. It's like everything's working real well with us. And that's why I don't want to make any big roster moves this summer. Let this core continue to develop and grow as it is because it's so young and it's growing. In fact, that's one of the things I'm going to profess that I love about this 2021-2022 Raptors edition of their team is that we had such a young team on paper. We had a team that was a weird hybrid of like really young players and hardly any older players, but we still had a certain level of maturity and experience that carried us through to actually get all our goals this year in a very constructive, productive way. And that is a real luxury to have youth and experience at the same time, and that we were able to build on it also this season by getting to the playoffs and get this early playoff experience for people like Scotty Barnes, Precious Achua, Delano Banton. Because listen, Kate Cunningham didn't get any playoff experience this year. Evan Mobley got a play-in experience, and these guys, it'll all benefit our guys in the long run that they got it so young at this point. It's like some players, they languish on a bad team for 5 or 6 years in their career, and then they finally get the playoffs for the first time. This is so invaluable. So I appreciate the Toronto Raptors for being constructed in a way that balances youth with experience and maturity in the right way so that we could excel in the way we did this year. That's what I'll say on that point right there. Yeah. Ray G saying definitely about Isaiah Stewart is definitely an enforcer and a guy. Seymour Pape saying, long live the 4 young soldiers we lost yesterday. Rest in peace. I hate hearing about that. If there's some conflict or something happened where Canadian soldiers died, or even American soldiers, whatever soldiers, the genocide or the killing of Ukrainian people right now, the genocide of Palestinian people, I don't care. We can go all over the different places. The people of Afghanistan that were, brutalized by different forces and places also. It's like, I never like to see anybody die on any side of anything. War is wrong, and people that are out there killing people or trying to gain more from other people that is unjustly theirs, they will get their due thing in the end, is what I'll say. But I don't like to hear that some soldiers died, Seymour, and rest in peace. And I was like, listen, the people that stand on the highway of heroes and honor these people, these are great people and stuff like that. First place, I don't like war, and I don't like armies, and I don't like that this stuff has to exist. But I do hate hearing that these people died also. Freedom of speech is saying players who really love the game will use it as fuel and come back even stronger. Yeah. And I'm sure this is everybody's going to have different motivations next year's and different things and stuff like that. One of the things Pascal said yesterday is he really wants to get solid with his 3-point shot. That one of the things that he saw from this series is he was unreliable with his 3-point shot. So this summer, he's going to really work hard on his 3-pointers. And next year, we're going to see Pascal come back, and his 3-point shot's going to be money left and right. I'll bet you money right now that that's what's going to happen, because he said it explicitly yesterday. He said, basically, I want to be all 3 levels of the game. I want to be having the stuff down low with the spin arounds and getting free and laying it in. I want to have the mid-range stuff, and I really want to make sure my 3-pointer is sound so they can't lay off of me and they give me what I want in whatever situation, whether it's driving around them or hitting the 3, that I'll hit it for sure. So I'm very interested in how he develops and gets better and comes back stronger. And who knows what Scotty's going to do this offseason, what he's going to concentrate on and be better next year with. And this is the thing. Every year with these Raptors, it happened last year after the Tampa year, they came back and they all had looked like they improved in different ways. And I expect that again this year. And that's going to be part of the reason why we're going to be a better team than we were even this year. It's the collective growth of each individual all adding up to the whole thing and stuff like that. Ken A saying this playoffs, playing under pressure from 3-0 is a crazy experience for a young team. Yeah, they had all the ups and downs. They had the that game 5 experience of winning on their court and the way we did and seeing all that stuff and how it went down is so invaluable for them. First of all, they got the feeling of winning a playoff game on the opposing team's court. That is very important, and that's something that rookies don't get right away. So as much as Scotty wanted to continue to play, he got a whole nice platter of playoff experience from the series, the 6-game series with the Philadelphia 76ers. So it's really good. It's really, really good. Great experience. Paul B saying Siakam with the double block on Butler in the triple overtime game was amazing defense. That was amazing defense. He did a pogo stick. He got up twice and blocked them twice. It's fantastic job. Stopping Jimmy Butler. And it was really at an important time when the matchup was really close. He had to do it at that point because Jimmy was trying to like win the game. And that Pascal's defensive play won against his offensive trying to win. Andrew saying, I appreciate Precious shooting 36% from three. Oh, yeah, I appreciate this too. It's kind of like going to the beach with a metal detector and finding a fucking gold Rolex watch that's worth $50,000. It's something that you didn't know was there. But then when you found it, you're like, holy shit, this is really valuable. And this is really super awesome to have. And yeah, I totally appreciate the development of Precious Achua being a three-point shooter after all. That we went from the beginning of the season, Jack Armstrong's trying to say, don't shoot the three, Precious, please don't shoot the three. To now it's just like everybody accepts it and they know this is actually a good thing when he shoots the three. But there were a lot of basketball purists and people that think they understand the game. They're like, no, don't shoot the three. Why is he shooting the three? And it's because he's actually a good three-point shooter and he should be shooting it. And also for the scheme of the Raptors, everybody to a degree has to shoot threes. That's just important. You see Ken Burch has to be able to shoot threes also. So it's just a part of the whole scheme of it too. But yeah, that was a fantastic thing to be appreciative of, Andrew. And I love that you guys are doing what we set out to do here is to share the love, show the love, the Raptors. Seymour Pape saying Scotty's dunk in Miami on the break was play of the year for me. The one where he got pushed by Caleb Martin and he finished it. That is actually super impressive too. And so that's Seymour's play of the year. That's fantastic, man. That's not a bad one. I won't disagree. And it's great that he didn't actually get hurt in that play because it really could have been a serious minefield of folly for him to get hurt. Rahul's here. Good to see Rahul. He's been one of my favorites recently. There is a Sixers fan there are Sixers fans who have dedicated channels for their team. They went on live stream and started bashing Siakam for accidentally injuring Embiid. How many dirty plays did Embiid have against the Raptors? Sixers fan channel are doing too much. Yeah. Yeah, well, listen, I'm the equivalent of them and stuff like that. And you know what? I'm here now, and I'll say our side of it and stuff like that, and how to paint it is whatever it is. Like we said, Rahul earlier, if you want to choose to go and give attention to those kind of avenues and things like that, like people are coming here and giving me attention, that's their choice. But we don't have to. Honestly, they're going to say whatever they're going to say. We're done. We're on the end of our season. We're the off season. We're in a different mode than they are. And maybe they should switch gears and maybe be a little bit more focused on the Miami Heat, much like our friend Freedom of Speech here is. That, he's thinking about what they need to be thinking about. And maybe that these guys need to get on task and maybe move on and maybe go deal with that kind of stuff instead. But, it's still fresh. It just happened last night. They're going to be like this for a bit. And then when they start playing against Miami, I'm sure they're going to find Miami Heat players to hate very soon and quickly also. So, yeah, that's what I'll look at is that. Rahul's also saying Scotty Barnes' dunk in Miami was the best one. So we're getting a lot of agreement with this. Maybe we'll put up a poll or something like that and try and see who will vote for the best dunk or play of the year and stuff like that. I like that. Seymour Pape saying 76ers are 7th in highest payroll. We are 18th. And all in all, we had a great season. We finished 10th overall. Sixers are going home next round. I'm not going to disagree with anything that you're saying here. That is indicative of something. The payroll where we are and ranked in that 18th, that's fantastic because that means that Larry Tannenbaum can probably open up the purse strings and put a little bit of money out there this summer and maybe really upgrade this team even further. That's the scary thing is we're all kinds of ways set up to just get better, whether it's by getting new personnel this summer or just the organic growth of our players within and stuff like that. And it's so bright. So much future is bright right now and stuff like that. And I don't want to even talk about the second part of what you're saying because I really feel like that's a given in some ways. As much as I hate to say it, I don't think that this is a very fair match at this point with Embiid out. Rahul's saying, check out Run It Philly channel and go to the latest video. It's just frustrating how they are bashing Pascal. Let them bash them. Let them. They're going to say whatever the fuck they're going to say. It's literally freedom of speech, just like the guy's name is. They have the freedom of speech and saying that kind of stuff. And, as long as they're not doing anything that's a crime or breaking the law, then they won't deal with any repercussions. But it's fine. It's like a lot of it's just hot air in some ways. And a lot of it is like the way I would look at it, Rahul, is basically go there and watch and expect them to say those things and realize it's just kind of a reflection of their sadness and upsetness about the turn of events. And that in that way, you can join Tom Duke and I by the window with our tea and just sip some tea with us. Just sip some tea with us. That's the best thing to do, Rahul, is just sip some tea with us and we'll be fine. And like Kermit does in that meme. That's the one. That's the reference to sipping the tea. It's Kermit with the tea is what I'm talking about. Annette Patterson's here. Great to see a new name here. And we're here every morning. I'm going to do this all off season. I'll be here talking Raptors every single morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. Well, I know we've done 2.5 hours right now. Some of the streams won't be this long. They could be only a half hour. They could be 15 minutes or something like that. But we have a lot to talk about today, obviously, with the new developments with the Joel Embiid injury last night. And that's saying the U.S. us fans that are coming after Pascal and Raptors did not have that energy when Joel was assaulting every Raptors player in game one. One word for Joel: karma. Once again, that's what I'm saying is like, if you're going to hit out, you better get ready to be hit back. And that's just how it is and stuff like that. Yeah, I agree with that. And that is that, it is what it is. Let them, they're going to do what they're going to do. We can't control things. One of the keys to happiness is to realize the line in everything of what you can control yourself and what you can't control. And that the place where misery happens for every single person in their life is that they're overstepping into the part where they can't control, and they're having too many feelings on that. We can't control how Sixers Nation is going to act today. They're just going to have to do it. And it's really what can you control in this situation? Well, you could interact with them and try and fight for the truth, but is that really worthwhile? Because it may be very futile. They're set in their ways. They're going to believe what they're going to believe anyway. And then the other thing is you have the power also to just ignore it or to just like say, I'm not going to even pay attention to this. That's where our individual power actually lies, is what we can control and stuff like that. It really helped me in my sobriety as an alcoholic in years past, is that this basic tenet of AA is realize what you can and can't control. And then you'll be much happier in your life in that kind of way and stuff like that. I know you probably understand all this and that. And it's not that I'm telling you specifically. I'm just giving examples for everybody that's watching me right now, every single person. But yeah, I agree. There's a degree of basketball gods and karma that's out there. Andrew saying, do you think that Scotty should start at point guard, Fred at shooting guard, like Lowry and Fred used to do? I don't mind this look at all. I think it's a fantastic look. If we're going to keep the same starting lineup, I definitely want the ball to go through Scotty way more this season. That we were kind of leaning away from that more. It was still Pascal and Fred mostly, and that maybe this is what we need to do. That we need to let Baby Magic be Baby Magic on the court and designate him our point guard and have him at shooting guard. And that doesn't mean Gary doesn't start too. Gary can play small forward. And we just have that kind of lineup. It all matches up anyway, as far as things. But I do like the idea of Fred having the SG next to his name next season. That in some ways he's not as good a distributor or getting the ball to different people in the right ways. But he is in some ways also. It's a weird thing. It's like he has a lot of experience already doing it, and that's valuable in itself. But I think that the court vision and this pure talent of Scotty is in some ways going to overshadow that kind of stuff for Fred. And that we may have a much more blossoming offensive garden with Scotty kind of pouring the water on the plants in different places and stuff like that. So, yeah, I like this idea. And hey, let's go for it. Annette is saying next, the rookie of the year voting should come from scouts who are watching every team, not the analysts who are based in the U.S. and only watch some teams. Yeah, I think I could agree with that. It is really interesting to see the names of the people who vote in this process and who's in it and who isn't. Now, I will say one thing about your point specifically, Annette, is they have 100 voters. So if you think about it, there's 30 NBA teams. That would mean that each team should get roughly 3 representatives. And then there'll be 10 extra ones for, maybe they're just general NBA head office or like ESPN analysts and stuff like that. But I will say this, the Raptors organization and media people, we actually got at least 4 votes from Raptors people. Eric Corrine, Michael Grange, Doug Smith, and I believe there's another Raptors voter that's actually covering the Raptors. So in a way, we actually have a fair advantage because we have 4 votes from our team base. But yeah, I understand your logic in this, and the scouts really do kind of know better than the media in a lot of ways because they do pay attention to the correct things compared to like the media. People may be more looking for sensationalism or their own narrative about, like being an ESPN head, they may have a whole narrative about things that discounts the Raptors or Scotty Barnes because they're in Canada and they're not supposed to be actually who they're covering because it's the Canadian part and it's American and it's separated and stuff like that. So I don't disagree with this. I think your idea is actually pretty good. But there has to be maybe a mix of people that cover the teams and then maybe also scouts. I think scouts is a great idea though. Joey Jones is here. Good to see Joey Jones, 24. What player you think we should go after this year? You mean for free agency? Well, the names that we've talked about specifically that we like, and we're talking about the center issue, are Mo Bamba. Yusuf Nurkic is another name that we talked about recently. We want us if we're going to get the center that everybody wants so bad, they have to be mobile. And I think Mo Bamba would fit in real perfect because he's very similar to a lot of our players already with the mobility and stuff. But he is actually taller than our guys, and that he is in some ways like a center compared to our guys also. But yeah, those 2 guys were names that we've talked about that could be realistic. And then, the one that I really want, the wish list, if I could get the exact player that I want back on the Raptors this summer, it'd be Jakob Poeltl. He would be the center that I'd want. He's already fit with us. We know he's a culture fit. He's already familiar with our team. He's gone to San Antonio and he's really excelled and gotten better and better in the years that he's been there. And it would be great to have him revisit us and become that center that we're talking about because he's the guy who can get up and down the court really good in a way that won't hurt us. So if it was a dream candidate that we could just magically go get this summer, it would be Poeltl. That's who I want, Joey Jones. That's it right there. Tom Duke saying their host seems to be drinking beer, not tea all the time. Another angry guy, except he's the host leading the hate train. Great love fest, Lexi. Cheers. Have an awesome one. Yeah. All right. If he's got a beer, I've got a tea. That's for sure. Because I don't even drink coffee. I mean, I'm such an addict. I get addicted to caffeine and I'll be drinking coffee and I'd be, I'd be like that and shit like that. But no, you know what? Listen, if there's a dichotomy and my counterpart and their counterpart got together and we saw the differences, okay, hey, listen, I want to be the best representative I can be for the Raptors fan nation, but I also don't want to be soft and I don't want to be punked. That's the difference. That's a balance. That's a balance right there. So you be able to be hard and still have a soft, kind heart in a way that's harder than anything else. Is that you can be still a humanitarian and have empathy and emotion for people. That is not being a wuss. That is not being weak. In fact, if you're able to balance both and be strong, that's actually a huge, incredible kind of strength. And that our society too much is taught that weakness is emotion. Emotion is weakness. Fuck that. Emotion can be strong and strength. That showing emotion publicly in front of people and sometimes is very brave and very strong. That's what I'll say in this situation. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Tom Duke saying, "Woo, let's go Raptors." And Andrew saying, maybe point forward Scotty plus 2 shooting guards with Gary and Fred. I like this idea. Yeah, I like that lineup. All right. We're just about 20 minutes away from 3 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up at 2 hours, 45 minutes. Guys, thanks for being here for the first Share Love Saturday, the Share Love Club. That's what we're going to call this. We're going to share love, show love to our players and our organization, different ones. Next week, it'll be the Saturday Scotty Barnes Share Love Appreciation Show. Thanks for coming here and showing appreciation towards the Raptors team as a franchise. And also all the stuff, talking to Sixers Nation today about trying to figure things out between us about these recent developments with this unfortunate injury for Joel Embiid. Nobody likes this. We hate this shit. This is absolutely horrible. So Sixers fan, I hope more of you come and see this and you actually see the real of how we feel about this because nobody likes this. Honestly, we want to play the best team we can possibly play. And that's not just lip service. It sucks when people get hurt. And then, different people start talking about asterisk shit. Nobody wants asterisk talk. We hate that shit. We want the best against the best. As NBA fans, we deserve it. And that's what we want. Okay, y'all. Thanks for joining me for a while this morning, and I appreciate everybody. I'll be back tomorrow with my first ever Sunday special report. Consider Sundays on this channel to be like 60 minutes. I'm basically going to be doing a news magazine kind of reports. And tomorrow, I think I'm really going to do the greatest Raptor of all time report, where I'm going to show you guys my breakdown, my calculations. I have a specific calculation, like formula for determining who the greatest Raptors of all time are. And I will explain it all, and I'll show you exactly who's on that list and how they all rank out. So if you're interested in hearing my perception and my methodology for determining how Kyle Lowry is truly the greatest Raptor of all time, please join me tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, for the Sunday report. Sunday special report, the greatest Raptors of all time, and the Raptor Freaks methodology behind that and how he supports his opinions. All right, y'all. Thanks again. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit that red subscribe button. Sixer fan, you're welcome here. If you're a civil person, we can have good basketball talk on the level. Always welcome here. Anytime, please drop in and hit that red subscribe button too. I don't mind you guys subscribing to me and being around with us. We want to make this a more of an NBA community also. Not just for Raptor fans, but specifically from our perspective and bias, sure. But if other NBA fans enjoy just talking good basketball talk normally, you are always welcome here. All right, y'all, have a great Saturday. I hope everybody gets out there and enjoys some of the sunshine and just be good to each other. Listen, there's so much tearing apart. Like I said, let's find ways to unite and come together. That is important. That'll be what saves the world from its own self, is we got to come together, y'all. All right. Thank you again. Let's go.